That is the right one. What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Silver for the Best Gaming Podcast number 498. It is true. We have been gone for a while. I want to say thanks to everybody who's listening to us on iTunes and Spotify. The numbers dramatically went up in November and December, which was pretty nice, especially because December we weren't allowed to come on here because of personal shit that I had with a dog, and then we had Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, those were the two, Thanksgiving and that one. And then I immediately asked them what they did for Thanksgiving. And they're both like, dude, we don't do Thanksgiving here, dummy. What'd you say?
Did you do the turkey thing? Or skip
Bro, our Thanksgiving, bro. I don't think we did anything. Yeah, because, she did. Yeah, so our families are split across, like, the state. And so it was either go to my parents, which is 4 or 5 hours, or stay here and do stuff with hers. And weirdly enough, that day I had what I have today, which is just a raging. I guess it's probably from reviewing where you're sitting and I have my monitor at a certain height, but you're playing a long time. So I shift and I must have sat tall and looked down. And so my neck was just killing me. And it gives me a raging, thunderous headache, and I get pretty mean. Oh. So I was just like, I'll stay here. Yeah. She went, did stuff, just had a really short meal with her parents. It was nothing big, just one of those things where you just sit down.
Chill back.
Yeah, just sit down. You're like, what are you up to? What are you up to? What are you up to? That's good. Bye. And then you take off. And I sat here. I think I had some macaroni and cheese. I think the other thing is, I can't remember if Johnny and I talked about this because I know Silver wasn't here when I got it, or at least not during the podcast, but I got that rowing machine and I went at it way too hard because I was able to watch movies. And so I was just thundering on this thing for days on end. So like 2 hours a day, sitting down on it, just because I can watch. I'm like, dude, this is great. I can do the workout in the morning, do a workout here. And I have a feeling that's probably a big cause of it too. Cause it's a bunch of back work and neck work. And I think I just
I've been doing about 20 minutes of that 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, it's great, dude. It's it's great. It absolutely works for keeping my energy up as well as burning off some calories from whatever holiday fixins you have. Sup, Andrew, JR, Robert, SBZ, Landon, Decker Duke, Romulus. Ooh, Romulus. Doom Reaper.
It sounds like a alien movie.
It is.
Alien?
Okay, you just got super loud.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, now you're normal.
Oh.
Dude, that was crazy. You said it was like,
or
we blame it on unidentifiable, like, flying objects. And they were trying to make it so you couldn't say it out loud.
I got a bit excited there.
Yeah, YouTube was like, dude, he can't say it. He can't say it.
Yeah, it's also one of the twins who got suckled by the she-wolf.
Yep.
And founded Rome.
And the dual names of planets in Star Trek. So, hey, there you go. JR says rowing is brutal, but great. Yeah, it is. So if you guys get a chance, I would love for you to spread the word that we are doing this one. We're going to, we've been fairly good, except now as I have an older animal and I have 3 dogs. There's been a couple that we've had to take off. And then last year's January freeze, but I've got a generator now. So we should be able to, I don't want a power outage, but I sort of want a power outage because I want to test it. I haven't done, you can test it with like just by unplugging everything and seeing if it works, but I'm one of those type of people that's like, let's live fire this bitch.
The real thing.
Yeah, so that'll be fun to see if it happens. Hope the dogs are okay. They are. You just getting really up there in age, and you have to consistently watch them, and occasionally when they get old, you have to take care of them even quicker than when they're young. Moving on to games, though. First of all, we haven't talked for a while, so we'll go with Silver first, because I think Johnny and I have done the last one. I think we did 1 or 2 without Silver. So what have you been playing, Silver? Like, what have you been diving into?
Not much, really. I think I haven't really had time to game much or follow gaming news the last couple of weeks. Sadly, life has sort of taken over in a different regard. But like one new thing I've been playing a little bit was Lockdown Protocol, the sort of Among Us alternative game, which was pretty fun. Because there's a lot of potential for wreaking mayhem there. Like one of the funniest things I did was you can kill yourself very easily in the game by running out of stamina. If you run out of stamina, you die.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to like one of my friends and I killed myself with stamina to frame him for my own murder. Like convince everybody else that he had murdered
awesome.
me.
Because it's a
Turn them against him.
multiplayer game.
Yeah, yeah.
In that way, very cool.
Yeah, like it's basically like Among Us, like where you basically have a bunch of players. You have to solve a couple of some tasks, and then there are some saboteurs or traitors among the players who have to prevent the other players from completing the tasks.
Excellent. Anything else? Or is that mostly it?
Not really. Yeah, just I mean, maybe a little bit of Red Dead Redemption 2 and some Veilguard still off and on a little, but that's
still
not
enjoying
very
it
much at all. Yeah. Like not brilliant by any means, but entertaining enough to keep my interest.
Yeah, Veilguard. My thought is the same way. It's like its name. It's milk toast. It's just
it's like you're not gonna write home about it, but
not really. Yeah. And you may even forget you're playing it. Like it's an odd one in that way. What about you, Johnny?
So I've been enjoying some League of Legends. I've been playing some. By the way, I had the worst losing streak of my entire life. I think I lost at one point 8 games in a row.
Oh damn!
Not like played on the same day necessarily, but like
right.
But I got through that, and a much better player on the other side. So very rewarding to like understand. Oh, okay, I was doing these things wrong, and that's why I was losing games. I can change that and now win a lot of those games. So awesome little journey there I've been on, self-searching journey, and I've been playing some Diablo 4. I hadn't played since release, and the game has changed quite a lot. Obviously, the expansion is out, and it's like a full little campaign in and of itself. I was wondering how they were going to do it, and it's very seamless. You jump in, you can create a new character, like with the new class they give you, but you're straight up, they give you a little catch-up from the full campaign you did already, and you're boom into the new content, and it's a really same level of polish as the main game, really. Very cool. So very cool extension there. Lots of little cool new systems, better quality of life stuff. Definitely recommend it. If people enjoyed like the original version, it's actually a lot better now to get into. Very nice.
How long's that one been out? How long's Diablo 4 been out? Year now? What's up, Jay? A year?
Isn't it 2 years?
Is it 2 for Diablo 4 already?
From 2022, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. We were talking about that prior to the podcast. A lot's come out, a lot of news, and like a lot of games.
So it was June 2023.
No, it was 2023 then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
But still.
Yeah, longer than I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool. And some Metaphor, man. I'm still playing that.
You're still playing Metaphor?
I'm in towards the very end of that, like 70 hours in. Still enjoying it.
Metaphor is a big one, man. Like,
yeah,
you're gonna be in Metaphor for quite some time, I think. It's just completely nuts how huge that game is.
Well, yeah, I forgot one game I have been playing actually, because it just released on Xbox a couple of months ago, and it kind of got a next gen update or visual upgrade. Was Predator Hunting Grounds, the asymmetrical multiplayer game. I've been playing that a little bit with friends as well.
It's always nice to occasionally get a update on the new one. Go jump back into something you liked. Chris says he's playing Remnant 2. Yeah, Remnant 2 I really enjoyed the hell out of that
great game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good shooters in that style. Let's see. Is that it for you, Johnny?
That's it.
All right.
I did play some COD too. I jumped in with you, right? And then later I jumped in and was practicing with bots and dialing in. I found out that the sensitivity is actually very high by default. So I turned that way down and I was doing a lot better. You just have much more range, when like fine aiming.
Yeah,
and
fine-tuned
stuff. So
aiming.
pretty cool. Yeah, the game is really nice. I'm actually looking forward to playing more of it with you guys, and then also trying the zombies and stuff. It's been pretty nice to jump in, do a few maps.
Yeah, That's it. Yeah, Call of Duty as well. I've been playing a little bit. I think with Call of Duty, by far one of the more enjoyable ones. I've had a good time playing it. It's nice to see a lot of these titles sort of come and hit it off. I think overall with this Call of Duty, other than zombies, which is sort of left me a little like lukewarm. I know they've done some updates, and I believe the new map is out for that. I know they've been releasing maps, which I've been playing on the multiplayer side, but I haven't played new maps on the zombie side.
I think that was one of the main issues, the lack of maps, or maybe like not enough variety.
Lack of maps, and just after a while of playing it, it just something about it starts to
samey.
It's a little samey, yeah. But I mean that's the way it goes. It's like some people like the never samey in a way of multiplayer where you're always going against different people, or you're hoping to. Some people like the very particular campaign. I like the multiplayer and the campaign, and so I'm okay with that. With that much content in the game, Zombies was a little anemic to me with 2 maps. That was for sure. It definitely felt a little like wasn't enough to keep me interested. But yeah, Call of Duty's been an absolute blast. Been playing a bunch of that with people in the chats, and then Indy, and doing the review for Indy, and then a bunch of Avowed, and the Avowed probably do a preview in the next couple weeks on that, because I played for a long time, and so it's just sort of breaking down the thought processes around that. And I decided to not rush towards the embargo, because Stalker had come out, and it was ridiculous. And that's another game. Stalker's got a bunch of patches, and it seems like they patched up not everything. There's still, the AI still doesn't react far enough out for people, which I totally get, but they've done a bunch of patches to it. I think they even fixed the sensitivity issues, so that's really cool for people who are having issues with that. I will say, though, I am still consistently nervous that they'll patch something out of it that I like. That's right. So in fact, I would say I was rushing towards playing as much as possible. That way, if the patch came up and I didn't like it, I would be okay.
Like games like Lies of P, where they patched a bunch of bosses to be easier. And I actually enjoyed the bosses. They were good challenges. I thought they were fair. Like there was one, the Puppet Master. I needed a lot of tries to get through, but it felt awesome when I did. And it felt fair all the way through.
And then they patched it to make it easier.
It became less fun, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. They want to patch it for the, for a larger group, and then also for the loud minority, because they appear.
And some of those are legit.
Some are legit. We're talking just about like difficulty and stuff, where it's like, well, it's obviously beatable by people who aren't necessarily super skilled, because reviewers beat it. We can just, we can say that joke, but it's.
I'll tell you what, though, I got my ass kicked by everything out there. I died from rats, like the tiniest things in that world killed me.
Yeah, well, I mean that's everything. That's Stalker.
Yeah, no, it's lethal. Yeah. I dig it.
It's a different style of game. Yeah. But what I was saying was, as they patch it and stuff like that, I think a lot of times there are people who want to get into it that aren't getting into it, and then they become very loud even though they're a minority. Yeah. So we'll see the bug fixes for the people who already have it and are playing it, and then switch over and sort of try to get more people into it. I saw some news where they said they basically were just in development right up until the point to where they pretty much broke it, and that was right when it got released. And I was like, oh, well, that sort of sucks. But we did get it. They did say something along the lines of they couldn't have patched it again, or they couldn't have delayed it again. They delayed it too many times. Yeah. I think that's fair, because they did delay it. That's what we wanted. I would have rather had it been delayed again. But
and a game like that, you're never gonna
fix it
like complete or like totally fixed to the point where there's not going to be launch issues.
Yeah, or at the minimum, issues that people don't agree with in the way it plays. There'll be some where it's not even a real problem in the scheme of I can look at code and say that's a problem, but where it's a problem with the fit and how people, bounce off of it or don't bounce off of it. But yeah, what's everybody in chat playing? I saw some people saying, let's see, Entropy Survivors, Prop Hunt, Remnant 2, like I said. Yeah, Lucitan will be doing Path of Exile 2, I'm sure. Actually, we can talk about that first.
He's likely already doing it.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
why he's disappeared.
Yeah, Path of Exile. Dude,
or he's just hanging out in the queue, the early access queue.
That's probably what's going to happen. They did a little alert. What I've seen hasn't really grabbed me too much. I've got it. I bought it. the early access thing. It's gonna be up and installed, but it I don't know. Might just be the early access thing that's making me like a little
It's
hedgy.
completely popping off though. Like it's already like the #1 top seller in the UK on Steam, and it's #2 globally.
Yeah,
just behind.
It's #2. Why is it
it's
number
crazy.
1? Behind what?
They're saying Counter-Strike.
Jesus,
Like,
whatever.
Take it with a grain of salt. This is on the PoE2 Reddit, so it's not like.
Oh, I'm sure it's true though. That's why I was saying I was surprised it wasn't #1 because a lot of games that are smaller get to #1, especially.
It's pretty incredible for early access. So good for them.
Chris says Sea Power, a Cold War Navy sim. Yeah, I've got Sea Power. Sea Power is quite enjoyable. A little dense when you jump into Sea Power. It's a little bit like jumping into a board game that's had 15 years to develop, and you don't have anybody there to walk you through it. But yeah, Sea Power is a highly enjoyable war game. I've definitely had a good time. Some people are saying Stalker 2, Metaphor. Doc says, anyone running Indiana Jones on a 5600 and an RTX 3070? So if anybody is, they can explain that to him. But back to Path of Exile 2. I mean, graphically, it looks awesome. They've been really good at telling people about what's going on. They delayed it a little bit a while ago, which was a good plan, I think, on their part. And now they just said, be prepared because it's a weekend release, right? Which we know how weekend releases are. They're, it's going to be one of those where a lot of people are going to be playing the login screen.
And once again, it's the thing like, oh, we sold way more than we expected. And I just feel like this keeps being the what we hear. Like, I mean, at some point you gotta adjust your expectations.
Yeah.
And one of these days, come out with servers that actually are above the demand instead of the opposite.
Yeah.
Store exchange.
It we'll see. And then also, as more games come out, as winter pops up, those numbers will go up and down. But they're doing really good. So is Marvel Rivals. I think Marvel Rivals was at 400 something.
Currently mostly positive on Steam.
Yeah, I should say the concurrent was high, but I did see the reviews were it is definitely generic. It is just a Marvel skin.
The takeaway from everything I've read so far, like put it in one sentence, is like chaotic fun. What people are saying, nothing too special that they would describe, but
might be a good winter game though.
I think so.
Yeah.
Just like the finals. That was free too, right? You could just jump in and play that.
Yep.
I think the low barrier of entry and the fact that I'm assuming it's cross-platform, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know about Rivals. I don't know. I mean, I would like it to be cross between like console and PC, but then you have the mouse and keyboard thing, even though those games are certainly nowhere near the level of finesse needed like Call of Duty or headshots as much as Powers. So I don't know. I haven't checked into that. Whoops. Sorry, my Alexa went off. But overall, I'm pretty, I mean, from what I saw of it, it looked like it would be an enjoyable, but fairly default style game. Like you just sort of know what's happening. Anybody who has done Marvel Rivals, I'd like to know, if that's the general thought process you got when you played it as well.
So it is crossplay, by the way, just not for competitive. So if you queue up for competitive play, that will be exclusive to your platform. So you don't have like PC people against.
What's competitive play?
Like ranked.
Ranked. Okay, so multiplayer still cross. It's just that
everything is cross unless you do ranked.
Unless you do ranked. I see. All right, makes sense. Yeah, overall, what I saw, like I said, I was pretty impressed by the graphics. I thought the skins and stuff like that looked cool. But other than that, it was just sort of like, it is what it is. But this is a good time to have a game like that where people can just jump into something for a little bit. If you're tired of COD, you want to jump into that. You're tired of Stalker. Just definitely different styles of game, which is cool. Are you guys doing Pillars then? Or am I the only one? And I don't even know how much I'm going to do. But are you guys jumping into, sorry, I meant to say Path of Exile. Are you guys jumping into it?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think I'll wait out the early stuff and look at the final version.
Yeah, because it's hard sometimes to even separate your frustration with not getting in and your frustration with the game. You finally get in, you're like, oh man, I've got 3 hours.
Been like the Diablo stuff has been so seamless and enjoyable that I prefer to just
Play the seamless, enjoyable
play
one.
that, enjoy that, then I'll take a break from the ARPG stuff and circle back to PoE.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Next up, we'll talk about Indiana Jones. Yeah, it was, it's unfortunately, it's got some issues with combat and with AI, but I'll tell you what, I was really stunned at how much I enjoyed that. Like, the more I played it, the more I was like, oh, wow, it's weird, man, because I think I was describing it to Jay and some people in the Discord. It's like a AAA version of Elix. I mean, that's the only way I can come. It's a very odd game because the set pieces and stuff are insane. Like, it is just nuts how cool it is at times. And then at other times, you're in a battle with somebody and it's almost like their hit boxes are gone and you're swinging and nothing's hitting. And you're like, wait, I know he's right there. Why did these combos not hit? It's not that he dodged. It's not that range was bad. It's just this thing did not fucking hit.
Didn't register.
Yeah. But and then the whole thing about woke versus, I didn't even know that was a worry in this game. And then I did the review and I logged in and people were like, dude, if you have breasts in a game, people are going to think it's woke. And I'm sitting there after playing the game. I can't say too much, but I can talk about up to a particular level. But the part that I'm going to talk about right now doesn't change after that level. It's not that at all. It's weird to see people worry about it with that game in particular, especially once you play it. You're all, oh, okay.
I think everybody's on the defensive against that.
What's the boogeyman?
Or very sensitive to it.
It's the boogeyman. Like I said, breasts in a game, boom, you instantly have a problem now, which is just so weird. Well, you have a loud minority problem,
Yeah.
A lot of people, no issues whatsoever. But yeah, so I jumped into it.
Breasts and
I'll take. Yeah, exactly. I'll take two. Anyway. Can I have two companions? Yeah. Well, in a way you do.
Not three, like.
No, not three breasts like Total Recall.
Yeah.
I only have two hands. But okay, it switches from first person to third person during platforming and swinging. Worst fucking decision I've ever seen. Worst. It never looks good. It actually impacts control. And then in some moments, it's like they think they want to go to third person and they don't, and you get almost a flicker. So if you come out of water, just for a brief second, it's almost like they have an animation getting ready to play, and then it goes pop, and you're standing up. And I showed that in the review. That definitely happened a couple dozen times. And that was weird. Other than that, you have the tech issues with the combat. You've got AI that it's hard because dumb AI makes sense in an Indiana Jones game because they're thugs. That's exactly what you want. But at the same time, like I said in the review, some of the stuff I saw, I was like, oh, damn, this is not great. This is like not exactly what I was hoping for from it.
Yeah.
Combat was pretty fun. Whip turned out to be better than I thought. Whip in third person seems like a disaster. But once you get pretty good with understanding, you don't need to be exact with aiming the whip. You just sort of whip the whip out. You take a weapon out of their hand, or you wrap up their feet, or you hit them in the eyes, and it just sort of works. It takes a little while to figure out that you don't have to aim. Because I was thinking it was COD. And I was like trying to perfectly aim and I'd miss. And I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And then I realized, oh, it's not that at all. You're Indy. He can use it. He can use the whip on his own. You don't need to be perfect. But it opens up with I haven't seen this level, so I'm going to skip that. It opens up with a level we'll just call it a mini spoiler kind of thing or something I don't want to spoil for people that I thought was really cool. Gives you some general knowledge of the game, a tutorial. Then you wake up with Marcus at college and somebody's broken in and you have to sort of figure out what they've stolen or if they're still there. And it's teaching you more of the tutorial, how to, move around, how to investigate. And that's one of the first things I noticed is there's no companion AI in the way we get with Aloy or others. There's nobody, not nobody, it happens occasionally, but there's far less, hey, why don't you do this in that game? It's mostly you reading your notes in your journal and you looking around the game world to decide how you're going to handle the puzzles. So all that was great. It played much better in that aspect than I thought. Even when you are with a companion, there's times where they say something, but for the most part, it's fairly laid back, and it all has to do with your journal, your notes, the pictures you've taken. There's a hint system that's pretty cool. If you want help with a puzzle, if you can't figure it out, you can just basically whip the camera up and take a picture, and Indy will think about what you took a picture about. So if you take a picture about the puzzle, Indy will say, maybe. Then you take another one and be like, I bet you if I try, but it takes a lot of pictures. So the cool thing is you can sort of governor yourself and go, I'm going to take what I'm sort of confused, take a picture, like, okay, I get what he's saying. Keep trying.
Like a little breadcrumb.
Yeah, that didn't work. And then you try again. Yeah, like a little breadcrumb. And that worked incredibly well. Awesome. I knew that was going to happen with my dog. Awesome voice acting that went on. Actually, I'm just going to stop him. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Are you going to play this one, Silver? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't really know. I think my main issue is that it's probably going to be one of those games where it's going to be really hard for me to disconnect the game from what it is, from what I want it to be. Where there's going to be like a disappointment there, I guess, because of my sort of Indiana Jones fandom. So I think that's not necessarily fair to the game for what it is, and so I don't know. I might get it on sale eventually, but I probably won't be getting it at launch. No.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw both in my YouTube comments. Somebody was like, and I talked to a reviewer who didn't love it, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't love it because it didn't do this. This character didn't come back, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay, so you're disliking it because what it's not even about the game. It was what it isn't." Yeah. And then there was another group that was complaining about what it was, and I was laughing with some people on a forum last night, just going like, "That's just a perfect example of where gaming is right now, where there just can be no, like there's just such a wide gulf in the ideas of what a game's going to deliver when you attach a name to it. When you attach any kind of name, you're jumping into, some unknown territory there. And I definitely would say Indy can hit that.
I think one of the things for me I really want to see in an Indiana Jones game, especially one that's actually set prior to Raiders, is I really want to see Belloc like explored, because to me he's like the definitive Indiana Jones villain, because he's kind of the mirror of Indy. But he just hasn't been used at all in any of the really sort of expanded universe Indy stuff that I've ever consumed, whether it was video games, books, comic books, or whatever. He's never been used. And I've always found that really weird.
Yeah. I will say I was surprised because I also like him, not as much as you, but I mean, I like sort of the idea of the evil version of Indiana Jones, which is sort of the way they've described it. I will say that the main bad guy in this game is awesome. But he's not that same thing. But I was actually quite surprised how good he was. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So I thought he was good. I also thought the voice acting, I just have to honestly say I was completely wrong. Well, I liked Troy Baker when I first heard his voice, but I've always been nervous that it's just going to be repetitive.
Too recognizable?
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job. It was ridiculous. Like I was like, oh, wow. And it's a mixture of him and mocap, a face of Harrison Ford. It just within like 15 minutes, I did not think of Troy Baker. I was thinking that was Harrison Ford. And that's also because of some good fake mocap that went on, not fake, but mimicking mocap from the movie. There were some movie moments and things that he did that were like, I know where that's from. And it fit like they obviously had watched a movie to try to get a part and put it into the game. I was like, dude, that's sweet. But also, I think his name is Uncle Joe. He's in Boondock Saints. He was also Basim in Valhalla. Basam in Valhalla. That voice actor plays. I think it's that voice actor. I said it in the review. If it's not him, it sounds just like him. But if it is him, regardless, whoever it is, it's really good. Very good voice acting from that guy. I really just overall generally like the voice acting. But the biggest problem is, once again, you have this dichotomy of, you have this amazing presentation, you have combat and platforming and investigation. Investigation's very high, like very, very polished. And then you you go into something and you try to make a swing that doesn't hit, or you try to make a jump, and first-person platforming is so rare that whenever we talk about a good game, it's usually fucking Mirror's Edge. Like, there are so few, first-person games that have good platforming.
Dying Light, which is kind of Mirror's Edge.
Yeah, no, you're right. No. I should have even mentioned that in the review. That's another game that has fairly good, at least it works. It feels like I know where I'm going, if that makes sense. This game has these times where you think you hit it and you don't, or you think, I'm nowhere near the edge. And somehow Indy stretches out these 900-foot long, and you're like, what? You sort of just move with it. You sort of go with it. But the same thing happens with stealth. You do some stealth, and at times you're like, okay, this is exactly sort of the way I expect it, and it's fun. But then you look at the AI and how it's reacting, and if you're a reviewer, you think about this, and then you put it all together at the end of your review. If you're a gamer, you may not even play it all the way through, because the reviewer's got to play it all the way through. You guys might buy it and get 10 hours out of it and be completely happy with your $60. But I definitely noticed AI stuff. For example, their cone of vision sucks balls. I mean, it's a laser in front of them for the most part.
Tunnel vision. And when you put your disguise on, the enemies react differently to you than if you don't have it. That's great. So if you do something slightly suspicious with a disguise on, it's nowhere near as big of a deal as if you're running around as Indy. It is like Agent 47 though. You drape like a blanket over your shoulders, and everybody thinks you're a fucking yak. What were you gonna say?
Do they have a leather jackets?
Yep. They have that, and they have Temple of Dooms.
I'm selling these fine leather jackets. Yeah, that was one of the first memes in gaming I ever remember, from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the point-and-click games, where when you're infiltrating the Austrian castle as Indiana Jones, if you're caught by the Nazis, you can give, you have to choose your dialogue options for why you're there, and you can give, I'm selling these fine leather jackets.
Oh no, they didn't have that.
That became like a meme.
The best,
your early 90s.
The best skill in this one is where if you're in a battle and you found the correct skill book and read it, you basically, when you get hit, your hat drops off and you can crawl to it. So instead of dying, you have one hit. You basically have one moment. So you have to get to your hat in the first place, which can be difficult. But if you do get to your hat, you put it on, you have one hit worth of life to defend yourself and try to take out the bad guys. Second wind kind of stuff. I thought that was really well done. Books are well done, a little bit weird. HUD's a little cumbersome. Technically, it worked fairly well. FPS-wise, I was quite impressed, especially because if you guys saw the requirements. And that was a whole other thing that I'm not going to go into, but I definitely had some back and forth with them about the confusion. Those requirements that they posted are just
with the ray tracing.
They're borked. Well, the full ray tracing isn't even in it's borked. Like it didn't make any sense. You have to have a ray tracing card, but full ray tracing isn't in, but they have full ray tracing on the requirements. So it's just confusing. And it was even confusing to me. I was going back and forth going like, you guys, like, you're saying full here and standard here. You're saying path tracing here and you're saying full here, standard rendering here, but ray tracing over here. But the standard rendering is ray tracing. So there's like a lot of really like cumbersome stuff that seemed to happen here in the last couple of weeks. And that's mimicked in the gameplay. I enjoyed it, but I still do think that there were enough issues that I was like, if you have Game Pass, it's great. And indie fans will probably really like it. And if you can ignore the stuff I said, it would be worth it. But I definitely noticed enough stuff that I was like, I think a lot of people will play it and go, ooh, And by the way, I think the full path tracing isn't even coming out until the 9th. I think it's when the early access ends. So, maybe that'll be a patch as well where they'll fix up a little bit of the AI, because the AI works at times and you're like, I'm beating up this thug, but then other times you're like, I feel like I'm just kicking everybody's ass. You can turn up the difficulty of the puzzles and the combat. I thought that was great. So if you turn the combat up, I showed some video in my review. When you turn the combat up, those guys, there's a lot, and it really feels like a one-armed man, in a punch contest, because you're just always behind everybody else. You always feel like Indy's not for that. He shouldn't be doing that. Same thing happens with guns. You fire a gun and just expect to be absolutely swamped by bad guys. You really have to watch out in how often you use his pistol. And it also ruins people. I will say that. So where you might have to fight somebody for a while, if you pull out a pistol, it is a lot like the movie where you just pull out a pistol and a lot of the guys are just one shot. Yeah. It's a powerful gun. And then they have their own guns, miniguns, or not miniguns, but machine guns and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, fantastic graphics, man. There's other times where, again, it looks a little like bland or cumbersome, but then for the most part, to me, it looked better than I expected. And then you get to the jungle level I showed in the review, and that is redonkulously, like, it is mind-blowingly good looking. It was weird because I went from the college looked good, another level had issues, which I talked about in the review with LOD. Then you go, Egypt looked really good. You can get up near the pyramids, can't necessarily like clamber on them like an Assassin's Creed, but they look phenomenal. That place was really fun. And then you go to another place which looks incredible. Then you go to the jungle. I'm purposely not talking about a couple of these spots for spoilers, but after another spot, you end up going to the jungle. And I was just, when you walk out that first time, you're like, holy shit, this looks amazing. Yeah. I mean, it was impressive.
That's always been a strong suit for machine games as well. I feel like
GFX kind of thing, like the graphics.
Wolfenstein games as well. They looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Back in the day as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's lighter than their requirements state. That's for sure. Like, that's the one thing I've even seen from some other reviewers, but I certainly saw it now. People playing on Steam, they're like, whoa, those requirements are pretty rough. The only thing I said in my review, and it does hold up, is they have a texture pool setting. And if you start cranking that up, you're going to be choking anything that doesn't have 24 gigs of like texture RAM. That's the one thing that when you crank up, it's like, holy shit, that's obviously either future-proofing or future-proofing for like the 50 series, NVIDIA cards, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think people like it. It's cumbersome. It's certainly the first third person, guys, it should be removed. Like, my hope is a patch. Sorry, not a patch, but my hope is a PC mod mods it. I just hope a mod removes it, because it is genuinely not good. It looks janky. It's not needed, and you see him enough in the cutscenes that you don't need to see how he can climb, because you already know where you're climbing. Like, it doesn't even. It's weird, and in fact, I think
you're not running around in different outfits or the like.
Yeah, and you only see those different outfits for 2 seconds when you're climbing anyway. The rest of the time you'll see it in the cutscenes. So to me, moving to first person would just remove that bump of B-level game and elevate it. But again, it's got really good reviews, not only from critics, but on Steam. So that's awesome. Good for them. It's not game of the year. I saw some people. Listen, I don't know what people play. I should qualify this.
They played 3 games.
I don't know, but I saw some people saying this is their game of the year, and I'm like, I don't even know how to meet them halfway on that, because it's, I guess you could say fun factor, but fun factor is impacted by the other stuff I talked about. It does take you out of the fun when stealth isn't working the way you want.
Sure,
something happens. And then lastly, the puzzle system. I love it. It's not just the journal stuff and the taking pictures. There's other stuff. There are so many missions, guys, in that game, that even in the first location in the Vatican, you will look around and there will be a mystery here or a mystery there. And then you just have to figure it out on your own. And I loved that, because I was sort of expecting a yellow marker, to be like, go over there. And instead it's all, someone thinks there's something going on somewhere, and you're like, well, what? And then you look at the name and you see a title in the name, and you're like, okay, I think I know where those people might congregate. So then you go over there and there might be somebody there who's like, hey, I have a question for you. Or you see something on a wall inscribed somewhere, and that's all Indiana Jones through and through, by the way. I don't want to spoil it, but puzzles. One of the puzzles is one of the best puzzles I think I've maybe not ever done, but it was just fun. It didn't feel like I ever got stymied on a puzzle. And when I did get to a puzzle that I felt like I sort of worked through it quickly, I never felt like it was easy. They were. I just felt like it fit within the game. It was like, this is Indiana Jones. He's not an idiot. So some of this stuff he's just going to figure out. Yeah. Really fun. Really fun.
That's cool, man, because I always thought that puzzles were a big part of those movies too. Like, in a lot of the movies, they showed how it was working out, how to get through a trap, or, how to figure a mechanism out.
Yeah.
It's cool that they were able to integrate it in a fun way. Because puzzles can either make you feel really dumb or really intelligent when you figure them out.
Personally, I feel Alan Wake shows you the way I don't want all puzzles to be. Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I think there were some there that were pretty negative in that once you figured them out, you thought like that either was cheap or I didn't have fun figuring it out, and like there was just some missing information or.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. In this one of the cool things about a couple of the puzzles too is you end up taking pictures and then you put them on a table or you put them somewhere and you do a little mini game where you look at the pictures and you talk as you walk around. So you'll be talking to another guy, just like out of the movies where Indiana Jones is like, no, that's, Jehovah spelled with an I, that kind of stuff. And you're like, oh, okay. And it feels like the movie as you're investigating. You'll investigate a photograph, you'll say something, you'll get up, walk around, characters talking back, then you go back, look at another one, walk around, and it feels like this interactive cutscene that is then directly opposite of the really rough, fun, over-the-top action. Also, they mimicked all the sounds from the movies, and I cannot tell you guys how quickly I fucking panicked the first time I punched somebody, because I've never heard something that loud in my life. I mean, I thought a fucking volcano had exploded at my house, because I was sitting back, I had it pretty loud, music was playing, but it was where I was expecting. I was running around, and it's that baseball bat in clothing sound of Indiana Jones's punches. And I was sitting back, and I punched somebody, and it's like a fucking explode. It's just whack, and I damn near shit myself. I was like, what the hell? And they have a setting in there called like nighttime for dynamic sounds, so you sort of truncate the top.
Lower the dynamics. Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I feel like they were just like, dude, we know it's known for the Indiana Jones punch sound. We're gonna play it loud.
We got some audio transients in here, man.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, it was nuts. It's got that awesome sound. The music is also good, and yeah, once again, good voice. So there you go. It's unfortunate there's some issues with the gameplay and stuff like that, but it seems like a lot of people rated a little higher than me, which I'm always happy for. I don't mind being like the person who, is like, you might want to hold off, blah, blah, blah. If everybody else likes it, I'm just like, well, especially when I had that much fun with it. Like, it's a good place to be.
We won't see another 20 years before the next Indiana Jones game.
I think I said that at the end of the review. My hope would be that they see the critique on one, whatever that may be, because I didn't know what other people are going to review it, and then go into a sequel, because I would love a sequel. And everything that fit within this game, if they could slightly shore it up, that is a title I would look forward to more than Uncharted. Not because I dislike Uncharted. I love Uncharted, especially the one with the two female leads. I really liked those, and I loved 4. But Indiana Jones is Indiana Jones. I'm a fan of Indiana Jones, so it would be.
Do you think that people who are not, because I've watched a lot of the movies, but it's been many years, so it's someone who doesn't remember all like the winks to old movies and stuff? Do you think it's
there's winks, but it's nowhere near. There's nothing that's a linchpin wink.
Okay.
There's no cornerstone secret Easter egg moment. There's Easter egg moments for you to understand something. There's Easter egg moments as a non-indie fan, and there's Easter egg moments as an indie fan. But then they build on them and repeat them a couple times. So if you are new, you won't be new by the time it might come up again, or there might be a joke.
You still get memes or whatever.
Yeah, I don't see there being any issue. That's why I'm pretty okay if you're not a fan. If you are a fan, I think for the most part, if you like that kind of gameplay, first person, which I think turns a lot of people off. I mean, rightfully so. I think first person platforming can be rough. But
hey, another banger overall. Game Pass game. They've
Yeah.
had some, some really solid games this year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Stalker 2 and this,
Stalker 2
could be way
the
worse.
Flight Sim, Hellblade 2.
Flight Sim.
Yeah, I look. Yeah, there's some.
I like that. You're like, now wait a minute, don't go too far. Yeah, Flight Sim.
Yeah.
I've heard that there's
cool
been
it's there. That's what I
hellacious
would
number
say.
of problems. Yeah,
Because I wouldn't necessarily buy that game if I had to pay like full price. But it's awesome that you get to just install it and check it out.
Yeah, Flight Sim is one of those titles that I think is more of it's a long burn title. I don't think there was a lot of people waiting in the wings to go buy.
It's funny. I had a coworker, like a guy in my team, that literally took 2 days off to play Flight Sim. That was his game. He was waiting, and sadly he couldn't get into the game during the 2 days off that he took. So anyway, he just refunded the days and did something else later. But it was just funny that
I've seen that a lot, man. I've seen
yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
Word on what the installation time is for it this time around?
Well, it's only 8 gigs, so super fast. Unfortunately, I was just going to say, unfortunately, it fucks everybody over now because Microsoft listened to everybody bitching about the install times, which means instead you stream it live, which is a stuttery mess. So,
there's a big compromise there. And a lot of people were having issues with like the first time boot or whatever in the game, like crashing out.
Oh, true. I did have an issue with the first time boot. Yeah.
Yeah. Just unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge game. It's got every helipad on there ever, like in the world. It's got a bunch of new stuff. It's a massive title.
I personally think the mission, like the structure they give, is really cool. Like the jobs. I think that was needed for some people like myself, where I needed a bit more structure to
some context
to the game. Yeah,
because that's what you do, Silver, when you're doing American Truck Sim or European Truck Sim, right?
Yeah.
Is the jobs.
Do the jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I would give myself pretend ones when doing Flight Sim.
Yeah, see, I guess that's what I was doing too. Is like, I don't know. I guess it's not a job as much as a plan, but yeah, I would
pretending to be a bush pilot or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and just and picking a spot. Free flying wouldn't work for me. So instead, I'd be like, I need to fly to Alaska, then I'm gonna fly to Mexico or whatever, and I need to figure out the jumps and how to do that versus just flying around. I know some people just fly around.
Simulate like old air race routes from back in the day.
Yeah, that's cool.
Classic.
Yeah, I think there's more than enough stuff now that a person probably isn't going to have too much of an issue just jumping in and, really sort of just enjoying whatever it is. Has anybody been playing Stalker or playing Flight Sim? And if you have, what do you think? Or is anybody playing Indy right now? Alejandro says, Carrick, how do you screen emails for new YouTube opportunities? A place you've never heard from? I just read them. I just read them. I don't really have I have a screener for junk emails, but let's see. I can't answer that because that would be a spoiler. Mos Z says, what's your thoughts on people hating on it and want it to fail just because of the publisher? Which game are we talking about? Is that Indy? Oh yeah, that happens all the time if that's Indy. Yeah. That's such is life. I don't worry about that at all. We have some questions in our Discord. First up is the bug guy. After rewatching The Lord of the Rings, I have a huge question. Why don't we have a giant open world RPG in that world?
Well, we kind of do. In a way, at least for a lot of the Lord of the Rings fans, they use Lord of the Rings Online. To the extent you could call that an open world RPG.
I think he's thinking Red Dead too. But
yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure. Yeah.
I
think the big impediment there undoubtedly is just the license.
Yeah. I'm going to say this: license, number one. Number two, I just think Lord of the Rings is a fairly really fucking boring world unless you're doing something huge in it. And I don't know if I don't know if I would want to be a podunk guy in Lord of the Rings. I don't know why, but everything I've read.
Farming simulator in the Shire could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. Just making carrots for everybody. That would be cool.
Yeah, or pipeweed.
I just don't think that, I mean, everything about the world, even, it's always, there's something about that that's very hero based or big event based in that. And I just, the idea of doing an open world in Lord of the Rings, I mean, I even get bored thinking about it. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying for me.
I mean, look, someone who watches the movies every year, love the movies, right?
Damn. Yeah.
But the world is pretty barren. When you actually look at the scenes, you know, a lot of it is sparse terrain, you know, nothing on it. You got the cities totally secluded, and then like leagues between different cities. So it's not like big populated areas. It's sort of like little nuclei of people in different places. And it would be hard to do an open world game. Imagine if you're like riding a horse between Minas Tirith and pick another, you know, like, dude, that's half an hour in game to get somewhere.
Yeah, it feels low population, I guess, in the fiction itself. And so, again, you know, they could do whatever. Also, I think it's fairly one note with the bad guys, too. I mean, there isn't a ton of races in the way that you expect races in a fantasy game.
Would you retell the story?
Yeah, I hope not.
Are you doing this? You always have this problem of
generic Aragorn
story, or we do a generic spin-off, right? Yeah. So it's tough, man.
Yeah. Yeah, even the did you guys play on the Sega? Was it the 360 that had the rip-off Gandalf, the rip-off Aragorn, and the rip-off Legolas?
I played an older one that
it was like they were all generic.
Exactly,
it was like Megalith or whatever. And you're like, dude, come on, what are you guys doing? But they for whatever reason, probably IP, the same thing. They could only use the world or something. But there was also a 360 game that was a 360 Lord of the Rings game that was an RPG, and you played as a hobbit. And I remember playing that with Cadiz. I just don't remember the name of that game. Shoot. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know. Lord of the Rings is a weird one, though. But hey, I'd play it. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Avana says, with the Game Awards just around the corner, are there any announced premieres that you would be like, oh shit, in a good way? Are there any I think he means non-announced premieres that would be oh shit in a good way?
Premieres like games that haven't been announced
yet?
Yeah,
I guess that's what
that are being made.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's ones that we already know about, it wouldn't be an oh shit moment. So
I think like
I mean that depends on if we've just, I guess, had like a teaser, like a title screen, and they actually show gameplay or something. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
I don't know. We'll go with not announced because that's you still know about it. So it's like it would be a pretty lesser response. But is there something you guys, you know, as we like look towards the future, is there a series you guys have noticed hasn't been made?
Spider-Man. I would like to see
Spider-Man 3.
You know, what's the next one? What's the next idea? Right? Is it like Carnage? Because that's usually you have like, okay, Venom, and then you do Carnage, right? And now Venom is like another character in there. So that could be a natural way to go.
This is not going to happen, but I mean, I would like to see Hitman, the next Hitman, but it's, I mean, I think Bond is what they're doing.
I mean, James Bond, yeah. I mean, James Bond, we haven't seen anything from at all. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I would like to see
this game being made, right? For James Bond?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I have no interest in a James Bond game. So, but it's taking my Hitman time because Hitman's not going to be shown because they're working on Bond. So that's why I was saying there's no chance of what I'm asking for of happening. But I really just enjoyed the last Hitman game a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
And so I think that's cool. What about you, Silver? Is there any series or something that I mean, especially as we're getting like revisited stuff?
Yeah, actually there is, because I mean, it's rumored, it's been rumored for years now that Ubisoft is working on a new Ghost Recon game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Supposedly it's first person. So and I mean, that'll be a return to first person since the first return to first person in series since like Advanced Warrior.
Right.
Way back 15 years ago, I think, maybe now, 15 or 17 years ago. So like seeing the new Ghost Recon game for sure, assuming that it is under active development and the rumors are true, that would be exciting for me.
Yeah.
Same thing potentially with the Splinter Cell game, if it is real.
Some point, right? Gotta.
Yeah, knock on wood.
I actually agree with both of those. I would be definitely in for a first person. I don't know how they would handle it because the only thing I have in my brain is like Avatar or Far Cry from them.
Right.
But I would definitely go for it. And then I would like to see a new not Wildlands or Borderlands, but they're, another in that series, especially a better world than Breakpoint. Sorry, I said Borderlands. I meant Breakpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're working. I mean, I know some of the stuff they're working on, most of the stuff we all know about, but the big one, once Assassin's Creed comes out, we probably won't hear anything until, I don't know. It's Ubisoft. They have a lot of stuff. So maybe we will. Yeah, those would be good ones. I would like to see. This will never happen. Well, it is going to happen at some point. I don't think it'll happen, but I'd like to see Beyond Good and Evil too.
Yeah, that too.
It's fairly certain that they're going to continue plugging away on that until it comes out. So it's like, it would be cool. I think that would, if good, it would fit with what they need right now. Jay says new Metro game. Yeah, that would be cool to come off the back of Stalker and be like, okay, Stalker just came out. Here's a new Metro game. Even though the VR game came out in the same month as Stalker, which I think is just weird ass timing. Let's see. Quake reboot. Doom Reaper says Quake reboot. Is there a Quake reboot ever been hinted at? I don't think I've ever heard of a Quake reboot.
I don't remember.
I would be all for that. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, IOI is making a game, Project Dragon Knight. Yeah, I believe that's the I'm Going In sequel, right? That's a good game. I'm Going In is good. Dead Island 3. Dead Island 3 would be really early, and let's just hope it doesn't have the development problems Dead Island 2 had. Otherwise, a lot of us are going to be dead by the time that game comes out. Let's see. Far Cry 83. Not going to happen. Never Wrong says not going to happen, but Prototype 3. Did you guys like Prototype? It's probably too early for Johnny to even remember Prototype.
I haven't played it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first one, even though I was masochistic enough to go for a gold medal in all the stupid challenges in that game.
It doesn't sound like it was worth it.
No, it wasn't. It rarely is, but that's not going to stop me anyway. But I did actually enjoy Prototype quite a bit from a gameplay perspective, just messing around, using the camouflage and like changing into civilians and stuff. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't as fond of the sequel.
Why? Just didn't feel like feel like a money grab kind of thing?
It didn't feel like a money grab necessarily. It just didn't have the same, I don't know, maybe it was like the different protagonist, where Alex Mercer was a genuine not a good guy on any level, really.
But interesting.
Yeah, interesting, because it was interesting to just to play like a genuinely like unsympathetic figure in that way. And also I don't remember that the stealth aspects were as
particularly
integrated in
good
the sequel as they were in the first one.
I think I remember that too. Admittedly, Prototypes are old games now, to the point of 2 decades or something.
I seem to remember you weren't too fond of them.
I was not.
But I'm not sure. Yeah.
Flip Cup, $20 super chat. Haven't been around too much, but I wanted to support. Thank you for the reviews and effort you put in the community. Hope you and the guys have a wonderful holiday. Thank you very much for the super chat. And always appreciate you being in Discord and yakking it up with me about handheld devices. He's one of the guys who's always excited about seeing the very next handheld. I appreciate it. And it's okay that you're not around. Don't worry. We don't cry too much. Just a little bit. I've been missing you. I admit, man, especially I was telling these guys earlier, it's like this fall seems to have been particularly tough for a lot of people, whether it be financially or emotionally. Like I'll be talking to someone like, dude, I'm just, energy wise, for instance, just super low. People, you'll joke about something, you'll just get. We had a voice chat a while ago that I was stunned at how we have a quiet voice chat because it can get really loud some places, and people are just sort of like they want communal game playing, but they don't want to talk the entire damn time. And we were in a non-quiet one, and I think I was in there for like an hour maybe, and I thought I'd been disconnected, and I came back, and I'm all, oh, I'm still here, and people are like, yeah, what's up? And I was all, that's interesting, because normally it's a very high energy place. But when I was asking people what they thought, they were just like, dude, I'm just like, it's been a rough year for people, even if it's just the world itself.
Month, it's been a rough year this month.
Yesterday was a rough year. You're like, damn. But yeah, thank you very much, Flip Cup. Totally appreciate it. When it comes to the back to Prototype for a second, or the old series, I would also like to see the one from Sony come back with the bald protagonist who had the superpowers. Infamous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because there was Infamous 1, 2, and Second Son, right? Because I believe Second Son was one of the first games I ever reviewed. Yeah, I'd like to, I'd like to see one of those.
Second Son was the launch title for PS4, I think, right?
Dude, it was. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that one and Killzone were right near each other for the release dates. Flip Cup says, I'd be more around if Lucitan wasn't spreading craziness around Path of Exile 2. Oh, you mean, I think he means because he's going to play it too. I saw a lot of you guys getting ready to play that. It's cool to see that much excitement. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was Second Son, because Troy Baker does the voice in Second Son, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure Troy Baker's the main character in Second Son.
I have no recollection whatsoever of that game.
For some reason, I think it's Troy Baker and Nolan North together in Second Son as the brother and...
Right.
Yeah, I think it is. Kig says, I wish we got another Infamous. Dylan says, Path of Exile 2 servers probably dying right now. I feel like even a small game servers die these days.
Yeah.
You just can't prepare. Knucklehead says, what's a movie that didn't get a sequel that surprised you? I was thinking Will Ferrell's Elf. And I'm really surprised it never got a sequel. I thought Elf 2 is a thing. I know that James Caan hated working with Will Ferrell, though. A sequel to a movie? Way of the Gun 2. There you go. That's my answer. Way of the Gun, for sure. You guys have any movies you ever wonder if there would be a sequel for?
Yeah, I thought Italian Job, the one with
with Marky Mark
Norton with the minis.
Yeah,
that was really iconic, and I thought that made for a good second part where maybe you have some of the old gang with some new people, kind of like Fast and Furious, really.
That was also a remake of the original.
Yeah, it was Michael Caine. Yeah. Dude, like Fast and Furious cracks me up because it's like. Is 80,000 Fast and Furiouses. Yeah. They're a fantasy movie now. I mean, they've been a fantasy movie since after 4, but it's just crazy when you look back at them and you're like, damn.
It is.
That dude definitely stuck his wagon to the right,
Vin Diesel? Yeah, dude.
I mean,
he made his entire career out
his
of
entire
that,
career. And then, that and Riddick, weirdly enough, because Riddick is a massive fan favorite series, even though Riddick sort of replayed itself when it went on its last movie. It was basically Pitch Black #2. I mean, it was almost like the same Alien style.
It was weird that it was popular too, because Pitch Black, it's Pitch Black, right? The original one was kind of like a niche.
Yeah, it was a niche horror sci-fi. Then
niche horror
2
movie
was the big one. Chronicles.
And then Riddick was like, boom.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would love to see another Riddick game.
It's also gotten a lot harder to answer, given that Hollywood has started making sequels now for 20, 30-year-old movies or 40-year-old movies.
Or remakes.
With Blade Runner, Gladiator, and
Yeah, but Gladiator, dude, listen to this. Gladiator's so crazy that I remember less than a year or two after it coming out, laughing when they were rumors of a #2. And there was a plot that was sort of running around the back then, Alt Vista's websites. I don't know what the internet looked like back then, but I was on it. And it was going to be Maximus coming back from the friggin' dead.
Yeah.
Do you remember? That was
an Australian filmmaker. I forget his
yeah.
musician,
It was like we've been hearing about
was
this
writing
movie
that script. Yeah.
for 20 years, man. It's so crazy. Did you see it? I think I saw you.
Too, yeah.
I think you had said you didn't hate it, but you didn't like it much.
No, I really liked I found the first like hour and a half really quite entertaining, and then it really started becoming very stale for me. Mostly because I was not invested in any of the characters at all, so it really started to drag after that.
Citizen Sleeve says there's a reason Escape from LA didn't do well. Yeah, it is weird when you want to do a friggin', like Johnny said, it's like, hey guys, I got an idea. Let's do a sequel to a fucking movie that most people who liked are dead. You know, you're just like, dude, it doesn't make any sense. Gladiator's not that way because that's not that old. But I mean, admittedly, a number of people that I know, you know, the idea of going to Gladiator 2 would be like, wait, did I remember that movie wrong? I thought he died. It's like, well, yeah, he did, but it's not going to stop, you know, it's not going to stop Hollywood from making something else. And it doesn't stop games. We see that now. You know, we definitely get games with sequels where you're just like, dude, why even, you know, like, why are we even doing this? But it works out sometimes.
We're even getting a sequel to the Lion King live action movie. Yeah.
Sequelitis, right?
Or a prequel, rather, I think it is. Yeah.
People thought studios were being safe before, but as economies are adjusting right now and you see all these weird changes happening, dude, you have no idea. This is going to be a 3 condom version of safety. Like, it's going to be straight up as risk adverse as humanly possible. There'll be the occasional, you know, company, whether it be games or movies, that goes out of their way. But for the most part, right now, it feels like it's going to get crazy. Vapor for Blood says a sequel to Joker would have been cool. I get that joke. What were you going to say?
If you're waiting for Elf 2 and it isn't there anymore, maybe it'll come in the next couple of years. Yeah,
maybe they'll prop James Caan out of his deathbed.
No, they won't have to. They'll just use.
Oh my God! I just realized what you're gonna say. Yeah. Just the Irishman. He'll just where he's got that flat face where they look pretty okay when they're not moving or engaged in any way, but then the moment they talk or move around, you're like, oh. What were we going to say, Johnny? I'm sorry.
I saw Cal saying, shocked there hasn't been a sequel to...
Your mic, man.
Mic's a little overblown. Metallic.
Now it's back to normal.
Oh, I'll have to look into that. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
I'm not hearing... I think it might be a Zoom issue because I'm not hearing it in the monitoring.
No worries. Go ahead. What were you going to say? It's only
anyway, he said no sequel to Titanic, which is sort of funny because, you know, you can't sink twice, but...
Yeah, I mean, except, well, nothing. Yeah, Titanic. Yeah. No technical sequel to Titanic, though in real life there was a sequel. But I think with Titanic, what I would like to see is I would like to see a story, a revenge story, where Leonardo comes back and hunts down Rose's family because Rose wouldn't give him space on that fucking little plank. And Leonardo's just like, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill your entire family. It's a haunting movie. It would be a movie about poltergeists. Fun fact, wearing more than one condom reduces the effectiveness. Fun fact. Okay. Well, that doesn't sound fun in any way, shape, or form. Doom Reaper says Alien Covenant needs a sequel to tie it all back together.
Alien Covenant kind of got the sequel with Romulus.
Yeah. Big Mac says they'll just have to get another James Caan, the one that was on Dragon's Den for a few years. Dragon's Den. Why does that sound familiar? What's Dragon's Den? Is that a Dragon's Den? Is that a drug?
That's a reality television show where people have to pitch some kind of product to like a panel of like 3 millionaires or billionaires.
Oh my God, you're okay. Gotcha. Wow, that was a hard pull, man. I'm glad we had Silver here to describe that. That was an off the side. Let's see. The Lion King is a prequel. The Lion King is a prequel. Oh, he must mean the new movie is a prequel.
I think it's called Mufasa or something.
So it's about the dad.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well that's sort of weird because we know he dies. So it's like, why do we give a shit?
Anyway. It's a little bit like the Titanic.
Well, we all die, so why do we give a shit about anything?
Yeah. Well, hey, you might just approve the entire point right there. No, I'm just joking. Let's see. I could go for a sequel to Robot Jox. Robot Jox had a sequel, I believe. I'm pretty sure Robot Jox 2 was a thing. Pretty sure. I could be wrong on that. Robot Jocks would be hilarious if they went back and made it that shitty B movie Robot Jocks and they didn't like try to Pacific Rim it. Pacific Rim it is now for sure a verb. But it, I would say, I would love to see that. Oh, Troll 3. Oh, Troll would be awesome, man. Yeah, I would love to see Troll 3. Apocalypse Now 2. Yeah, what do you do with that? Now you guys are just taking the piss.
Yeah. I think I found the issue, by the way.
Davis back to play Leprechaun.
Dude, Leprechaun would. How many Leprechauns were there? Because there was Leprechaun in the Hood, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the one with Jennifer Aniston.
Sleeve would know that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Okay. He's not in the podcast. What are we going to say, Johnny? Go ahead.
No, I think I fixed the issue because I had automatic
gain
control in Zoom. So I'm assuming it's that because I didn't hear it in my monitor.
When you were leaned back and then leaned forward, just that one time, it was like, hey, we want to add a little. It was the punch, Indiana Jones punch. It was trying to explain to people how loud that fucking punch is. Nichezo says Dredd 2 with Carl Urban. Yeah, I would, listen.
Yeah, that is definitely a film that's very, very sad. Didn't get a sequel.
Yeah, and I didn't even like it. And I think it's sad because I actually would have liked to have seen, I believe the sequel would have probably been more of what I liked because it felt like that's where they were going. So whether you like the original or not, I like Urban a ton. I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
Almost Human's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. He's good in Lord of the Rings, even in smaller stuff. Almost Human. Dude, that is
got canceled.
One of the best cyberpunk shows I've ever seen in my life. And so, I would kill to see a Judge Dredd 2. I wouldn't kill, but I would maim somebody really,
would be cool
really
in
harshly.
An open setting because the movie was so contained in that tower, which made sense for what they did.
And budgetary made sense.
Budgetary. But to see more like the world, right?
Yep. God damn. Yeah, I would love to see that.
One of the few 3D movies at the time where the 3D actually worked to its benefit for me.
Damn, that was 3D, red and blue, like old stuff. I didn't know that. It's Jaws 3D shit right there. Oh, Crow says Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Listen, there's almost no movie ever in my life that I remember more than Remo Williams as a kid. That is
really,
dude. Remo Williams. I don't even know how to describe it because it's like a cheesy cop becomes superhero. It's hard to describe. Gets taught by like a kung fu master that's obviously a Caucasian man that's had his eyes. This is a questionable situation now. But Adventures of Remo Williams is one of the only two movies that I remember. I'm not saying they're the only ones. I personally remember where they advertised the sequel at the end. And it never happened. Actually, there's three. There's that, History of the World, and Sword and the Sorcerer, where they announced the sequel at the end. And I don't know why they did it. Like in the other two, I think History of the World did it because I believe History of the World sequel advertisement is called Jews in Space, and it turned out to be Star Wars or Spaceballs. But at the end of, I believe it's at the end of yeah, it is, right? Yeah, because Mel Brooks did that, and then he ended up turning it into Spaceballs, yeah. But Sword and the Sorcerer showed something at the end, and it wasn't even a stinger. It was a fake, like they're fake commercials. I always like that. Let's see, Max Payne 2, the movie. I want a sequel to Solo, the Star Wars movie. Yeah, it would have been cool if it was good, too. Flash Gordon 2. God, some of you guys are, I appreciate.
Bring back Flash
I just want to say how much I appreciate the age here. Like that people aren't saying like, I want to see something, I don't know, a movie from 2 years ago. They're talking about like my time frame. I actually know half of these instead of, some fucking teeny bopper shit. It was The Raid, but with Judge Dredd. Oh, it was sort of, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
it was a little bit.
There were definitely people at the time who were accused Dredd of being a copycat. Even
Did
though
they?
I think Dredd started production before The Raid. Yeah.
Gotcha. Let's see. Flash Gordon 2. Yeah, that would be cool. Flash Gordon 2, I would definitely dive into. I did want to, let's see. I'm seeing some people, let's see, expecting very big Game Awards announcement next week. Who gives a shit? God, I'm so tired of that kind of stuff. The never-ending push of, like, hype is killing me. Escape Simulator 2 was announced today. I saw it. It's going to take you to Dracula's castle. and a bunch of other places. I believe that's still VR, but I could be wrong. It doesn't say Escape Simulator 2 VR, so maybe that'll be flat screen as well. Let's see, what other news do we have that's just small? The boss of Stalker 2, GCS, Game World, said, didn't expect such a positive response from players given the bugs, insist it was impossible to have delayed again. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And then Digital Foundry did their Indiana Jones and the Great Circle Xbox review, I guess. And yeah, I was surprised. It actually had a fairly good frame rate most of the time. It was really cool to see. 60 FPS. We don't see that kind of stuff very often anymore. It's usually 30. And then Kingdom Come Deliverance got delayed by what? Or got, an early release by what? 1 week, I think, is Kingdom Come 2.
Did it?
Yeah, they moved it forward a week. I think it's smart, man. Those February's packed. February's ridiculous. And January, they must all be worried about. January I looked at my review list for January, like games I wanted to reach out and see if I could contact somebody, and I was all, not a lot. There's, I'll probably have to get some surprise titles. So Master of the Universe was a decent 80s flick. Be nice for a sequel to happen. Masters of the Universe 2 is occurring. They've already hired 3 or 4 people to play in Masters of the Universe, the sequel. Well, they're calling it Masters of the Universe. I don't know if it's the sequel,
Get the
but
synthesizer back.
Is a new master, dude. I just hope Dolph Lundgren has like a small bit part where he shows up just as just for a brief moment.
Maybe you could actually play Skeletor this time.
But that's so that was my joke. By the way, Dolph had cancer for 9 years and he's now completely cured of it. But I made that joke when we were in chat, and then I realized, it can come across as a cancer joke, which is not what you were saying or what I was saying. But I would love to see him come back as
the
Skeletor.
Optics can definitely be really
the optics of the joke, because I said it when we were in chat, and I was like, that does sound really bad. Like, a lot of people didn't know he was ill, but it's one of those things that you say.
Really funny to think of Dolph doing the Skeletor voice.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
He had a very typical bad guy voice too. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. You never get me, Kappas. Well, it's not that bad, but
I always remember him from Universal Soldier with Van Damme.
Dude, I'm sorry, such a good movie. Universal Soldier, when they go in and you find out that Dolph Lundgren is wearing the people he's killed, he's wearing their ears, he's chopping their ears. And I'm like, dude, that's some dark shit, man. That was such a great movie. And the others, not so much. But that first one was really good. How many of those have they had?
No idea. I never watched any of them besides the first one.
Yeah. Indio from Abbreviated Review says January is the catch-up month. I think January is a good month for people to catch up. We're going to do a lot of, I've been doing already, but a lot of group games and stuff like that. I think it is going to be a nice time to catch up on what was an insanely busy 2023 and a fairly busy 2024. There's a lot of games. And then you also have supposedly the Switch 2 being announced prior to March. So March, February, we don't know in that timeline. But I think January is a good time to catch up on some stuff. Is there any game? How about that? What's your top game? Anybody in chat, I'd like to know too. What are both of you guys, what's one top game that you have on the list that like you really do want to play? One you haven't played yet. Is there anything that's come out in the last like 2 years that you're like, oh, no shit. Okay, good choice. I hadn't even thought about that one. Yeah, good choice.
I'm thinking maybe this, the holiday season coming up, because it's a good sort of Christmas.
It's a holiday, dude. Yeah.
Game.
You nailed that. It's a really good game for that. I'll be very interested to see what you think of it. I think you'll dig it big time. What about you, Silver? Is there anything that you want to hit that you've missed in 2023 or 24 that like would be your January game?
Yeah, for sure there is. It's just not coming to me, unfortunately, off the top of my head.
I'm trying to think for me. Let's see. Man, there's been a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I'm always missing out, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's definitely easy to feel that way now, and it's so easy to get caught up in the next big thing. But I do think this January is awesome because there really isn't even a Path of Exile 2 free to play or anything coming out that I know of in January. So January is like the time. Let's see, what are some of the games? I don't know if I'm going to complete Veilguard, honest truth. It's so blah.
I wouldn't necessarily blame you. Yeah.
That I don't even dislike it. But I don't like it. I'm so undecided on it as a thing that it's out there. But I would say there's a possibility I would play that in January. I feel like that would be a misuse of my time, but go ahead.
What really fascinates me about that game is yeah, it is very blah, but there are so many design decisions in that game that fascinate me, like the inventory system they made for it and all that stuff that is so different from anything else, really.
That fascinates you in a good way, or just fascinate you in an interest way? Like you'd like to know. In an
interest way.
I see.
That this is very, very different. This is interesting that they chose to go this route, and how this works.
Damn it. Scott just reminded me of something. Fuck. God, the not Shadow Drop, but the recently announced Sniper Resistance is coming out in January. Now we know what that's going to be. It's just going to be 5, but with new missions and a new like. It really is sort of a mini game, not necessarily in size, but in development. It's not reaching out in scope like a 6th one would be. But that's a really good.
Sleeper 2 is also, I think, slated for January.
I saw a trailer for that. That's January as well. Not super high on my list, but still definitely a game I want to play. I asked people in here. A lot of people are still saying Stalker. Some people are holding off on Stalker. Psychonauts 2. Damn, I hope you like it, man. Because Psychonauts 2 is fantastic. So if you get a chance to, go and play it, I hope you enjoy it as much. That's on my list too.
To go and play. Yeah.
Seriously, no hesitation on my part. I would tell you far beyond Astrobot.
That good? Okay.
Psychonauts 2 is one of the best platformers, my opinion, of all time.
Wow.
Because the difference between Astrobot and Psychonauts 2 is that one is a game and the other is very close to being more of an experience. Astrobot is ridiculously easy.
More like I think we said it's like an experience, like sit back in your couch and
have a great time. You can die, but it's
Tetris experience.
Like Tetris experience.
Mellow,
you can die, but it's nowhere near. Not even. It's really really low level difficulty
versus not as engaging.
Yeah, and Psychonauts 2, dude. I'm not even a Psychonauts 1 fan. I mean, I liked it.
Yeah,
but it's in a mediocre level somewhere for me. But Psychonauts 2, I remember just, Ari says the same thing. I love Psychonauts 2 and normally dislike platformers. I would actually say I somewhat lean that way. Platformers have to be really good for me to go, damn.
Yeah, like Ori, or, have something really unique.
Honestly, I'm not saying it's above Ori, but I would say that because they're so different, dude, it's Psychonauts 2. I remember just playing it and going like, what the there's so much imagination. Ori has a feeling of like emotion and beauty. Psychonauts is pretty ugly on purpose at times, right? Like, they've got like
the art style,
the art style and some of the levels you go to are like, oh yeah, this is sort of gross. And it's charming. Where Ori is just haunting. Like, that's what I got from Ori. One of the best games ever, but haunting as fuck. And I probably would never replay it, where Psychonauts 2 is charming and I would replay it. Doom says, I don't like platformers that much, but I love Psychonauts 2. That is so repeated in a chat right now. That is,
yeah. Okay. All right.
Jim Milton says, Psychonauts 2 and Outer Wilds are 2 of my all-time profound games.
I didn't manage to get Outer Wilds.
Me neither.
I don't think.
That's what I was just going to say.
I liked some of the exploration, like some of the planets were cool to explore, but I didn't experience it in the way all these people did, very clearly. And that could be on me too. Like sometimes you're just not at a point in your journey where, you know, it's working for you. But
yeah. Or it'll just, I mean, yeah, it's a weird. Well, that I hate that because it feels like we're always being defensive or something when we say maybe it's just not for you. It's like I could say that about Elix too, but that would be like saying trash isn't something fun for everybody to eat. I mean, it depends on.
It's it's obvious to say that it's not for everybody, but that is one game that I do find so many people describe it as like a peak of their gaming enjoyment. I never fully understand.
Yeah, me neither.
It's also one of the things that's so great about art, isn't it? That we all relate to it so individually because it relates to our own personal experiences.
And I mean, that happens with so many things. Like, you know, sometimes I will recommend a show and Carrick will be like, you know, all due respect, it sucked.
All due respect.
I don't know why you thought.
Have I ever said all due respect? I love it. I appreciate you giving me that kudo. Oh man, what did you just? What did Takedown just say today? Scrubs. He's like, hey, Carrick, man, Scrubs, dude, they're making like a new TV show, and I'm like, I don't fucking care at all. Like I tried, and he's all, oh damn, you just broke my heart.
Yeah,
we usually like the same stuff. I would say
a lot of times.
I would say most of the time. The big separator, and I can't remember if Silver is a big fan. I think the big separator for you and I just happens to be anime, where like
I do watch anime and enjoy quite a lot of it. And then I think for you,
it's very rarely, but I do enjoy the very rare one.
Maybe more the westernized, ones like Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Yeah, that was.
I think you liked, and that was really good. And that was a Japanese studio, but they just did a very good.
Record of Lodoss War I liked, but it's ancient. Robotech, Macross I liked.
I think you mentioned Samurai.
Galgo 13.
Yeah, Samurai Champloo. Really what'd you call it? What'd you say, Silver?
Galgo 13, the one with the
I believe I've watched that one, and I believe I like that. Yeah. Yeah, now
that's also one that's really grounded. I mean, hyper violent, but
more
very
grounded
compared to like a lot of other anime, where I have a lot of issues with a lot of the popular tropes in anime that sort of hinder my enjoyment.
Yeah. Kel says still love Record of Lodoss War. Yeah, so do I. I really like that one. It just depends on what it is. I actually like them more as games. I have an easier time interacting with anime stuff as a game than I do like sitting down. Maybe that's because I can control the amount of cheese when I'm I can ignore NPCs and be like, I don't want to listen to you talk because you're gonna do the meme or whatever. Where with a show, it's like you're captive.
Yeah. Right? If only we could do that in real life. Skip your dialogue, please.
Bro, do what I do, man. You got a peephole on your door. Never open it. Just, you don't have to talk to anybody. All your deliveries can be in, Instacart everything. Never leave your house again. It works. I'm just joking. No, I'm not. Now that I think about it. I am sort of not joking. Let's see. Samurai Champloo is awesome. Amazing. Sorry.
That's good.
Hey, did you guys also see that that Outlaws is doing a ton of patches, and they released a DLC that got really, really good reviews, which is the Lando Calrissian DLC, which I haven't got a chance to check out. Yeah. I don't know. You're not him. He's just in it.
The one I saw had mixed reviews when I looked it up, but I think that was right around release. So it may have
that was I believe that was a different one. I'll just say the people that I sometimes see in my feed, which I control my feed, they did like this newest one that I believe was last week or the week prior.
Cool, man. And they fixed a bunch of stuff. I think that would be newer
then, yeah.
For sure.
Okay. They fixed, well,
some of the stealth and like AI bugs, stuff like that.
I believe they also, am I wrong on this? But I believe they patched the instant.
The failure.
Instant fail, yeah.
Yeah, the instant fail got patched. Thank God.
See, I didn't mind that, but that's because I'm a masochist. So,
but it was such a mistake on their part because
because I'm in the definite minority on that point.
Not only
it's
that,
pretty
but it could have been
stifling, right?
it's stifling. It could have been a difficulty setting because I don't mind instant
It definitely could have
whatever, but I'm reviewing it for everybody. I'm not like if it's just
yeah.
me, maybe I would play it a slightly different way. The fact is they made it more difficult to like that game, and then you add the actual
They
bugs and problems, and so you get this thing where you look at it and you're like, what are you doing? Like, why would you, how did that choice ever, how did you guys come to this choice to where you would arbitrarily make it like that? The other thing is AI. I don't know if they patched the AI because the AI was a goddamned clown show in that game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I ruined people. They would just get off the freaking motorbike right in front of you or speeder bike and you just consistently kill them. So, SBZ says, speaking of anime, have you seen Anata, previously titled Project Musion trailer? Looks like GTA, but anime. It looks like GTA, but anime. Don't they all look like GTA, but anime? I don't know what that means.
I haven't heard of it.
I haven't either. I don't know what that means, though. I'd have to check it out. But did you guys see it? So you guys, no, neither one of you guys checking it out?
No.
Nah. Yeah, sorry. This is probably the wrong group for asking about arbitrary anime. Just, we need to get Reg in here. Reg would be like,
yeah.
yeah.
About to say.
Yeah. I might be like pretty new and I haven't seen it yet.
Or you could ask about French animation films. I'd be in on that, but
You and like two other
yeah,
people?
you and two other people playing Star Wars Outlaws Instant Death and watching your French anime. Talk about a small filter of possible people. Fucking 3 people in the world watching this one particular thing while playing. That's a weird question. I don't know if there's a term for this, and I don't think there is, but it's a thought process that comes up in my head a lot. Have you guys ever been doing something and thought to yourself, even with 7 billion people on this earth, I'm the only one doing this particular thing or watching this show?
Oh, yeah, frequently.
Okay, so, and that happens to me a lot. For whatever reason, I'll be watching a show and go, I might be the only one, because it'll be a B movie or something, it'll be something old or something old and eclectic. And I'll go, I might be the only one on earth right now watching, Flash Gordon. Probably not true, but it's weird when you think about it that way, man. It's like, I don't know, isolation thing.
I mean, for me, I often think about it geographically in that I'm the only person in the whole world of like 8 or 9 billion people who's standing right here, right now.
Absolutely.
At this exact moment. Right?
Yep. Yeah, and what's weird is we should probably have that thought all the time. So you take everything as special. I have a feeling people who have a near-death experience think that kind of stuff. I definitely thought it more when I was a kid because I was sick. But then as I've gotten older, I still think about it occasionally, obviously, like you do. But I think that's why sometimes you get somebody having a midlife crisis when, they have a heart attack or whatever. Yeah. You see them out running the next day and they're making all these life changes because to them, everything it's like a little baby restart and they sort of get back into it. And then they have their third heart attack a year later because they forget that bacon tastes delicious. And once they realize it, they go right off their diet.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes feel that way with just hobbies in general. Like, what are the chances? Because I'm single guy. So, when I go on a date or something, I'm always thinking, what are the chances that like I'm going to encounter someone of the opposite sex that actually enjoys, video games?
Right.
Like you can list out like, reading books, like looking into science stuff. There's so many like little eclectic things with no overlap that you start to think like, yeah, the odds are pretty out there.
Especially that the more you dive into any of our let's say video games, the more you dive into video games, the more you suddenly have another filter. Like we were joking with Silver and French, and or the way we want to play Outlaws. The idea is, and I've heard this many times, I want a person who likes video games. And I'm like, whoa. What if they just like free to play games? And they like microtransactions? Like, you know what I mean?
Games.
Yeah, they have a fascination for mobile games, or they love, platformers and you hate them, or they like only classic games. There's all kinds of stuff that pops up because, we use the catch-all. I wish I met somebody who, likes action movies, who, does this, likes these video games, and then you find out that they have the exact same bad habits you have because they like the same things you like. And how they got there means that they have the same exact bad habits. And trust me, you do not want that. You don't want two people doubling down on the same bad habit.
That's true.
Because that shit can get rough.
Oftentimes it is nice to just be pretty different in some things. Not
in some
like
things.
Not in values or,
Right.
A lot of stuff needs to be shared, but yeah, you're right.
Especially if you get one person who's a slob and one person who's clean. Like one person.
Is that good or bad, do you think?
I think it's pretty fucking terrible. Unless the person who is clean is also not only just an orderly freak, but they also have no issue keeping things orderly when they are chaotic. Yeah. Because if they do,
it would be an uphill battle for the
It is
person.
ridiculously. I mean, I have seen things even in my own life where I'm like, because I'm definitely that person, where you see it and you're like, this is not going to work out because you have your own line of order and the other person adds disorder to your order. And there's a difference between you doing something and somebody else adding to your burden. And you're like, okay, here we go. And obviously you're trying to lift up somebody else's weaknesses, but at some point you're just like, how much does this matter or not? Or we were talking about, what if you met somebody who likes games and they like the exact same games as you, so every time you're trying to play the game, they're logged into your Steam account. You're like, fuck. Hey, I'm just saying, it can all go bad. Let's see. Reg is the pillar of the ACG community. Is he? We never see Reg anymore, so that pillar moved. Though he did pop in to say something today. I think he just popped in to tease Takedown for like 3 seconds, and then Takedown. Because Takedown said something like, Reg, always watching chat just to say one nasty thing to me. Checks out. Let's see, what else do we got? Ghost of Tsushima had instant fail stealth, and Ubisoft developers were talking about how they were inspired by that. Yeah. How can
the one thing that
one thing that universally doesn't? How about this? Instant stealth has a far higher chance of being problematic than a flexible stealth that lets you get away, even though you could then look at the AI and go, how's it not figuring out that I'm killing everybody? But I would rather have that than an instant death that you can't choose to not do. Like I think that hurts a lot of gamers. Because there's a lot of people who don't want to spend that much time. I like it because it makes me focus more and know that every action, I shouldn't be careless. So I like that. But I like to be able to choose if I want to do it versus, being set up that way.
Like I've always enjoyed the trial and error aspect of it, like prodding an electric fence, I guess, almost.
Yeah.
To find it weak.
Or headbutting your way through it like a goat, whichever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we both did Kingdom Come on the hardest, right? On the, yeah. And that was hard, at least for me. What were you going to say?
No, it's a hard game in hard difficulty.
Especially
combat system.
Yeah, or Silver, where all the guys' heads in the entire town disappeared. It's hard to decapitate somebody when they got no noggin.
Although it's only really hard, like early game. Once you get to late game, it actually gets quite easy.
And some of the moves in that game are very overpowered, I guess, or something.
Also, the hard difficulty, honestly, it kind of ruins the combat a little bit, the feel of it, because of the way combos and stuff start working. You don't really get to use combos anymore. They're not effective at all because they'll be blocked after like one hit or countered instantly with one hit. So you can't really do combos on the higher difficulties.
Mr. Zeppentif said something. Speaking of Star Wars, I kind of liked Skeleton Crew's first couple episodes. Is that the kid one? The little kids?
It's the kids.
Yeah, the sort of Star Wars Goonies. Yeah, I thought it had a pretty strong start.
Yeah, like Stranger Things.
Actually, like there was a bunch of stuff I didn't expect. Like we had cameos from of all things Captain EO, the Disney ride with Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was just a callback from nowhere for me. Also, the Ewok movie as well had a little critter in it. That was in it. So all kinds of fun references in the first couple of episodes.
I feel like you can only go up.
I personally liked it. Yeah, I thought it was a good like story to tell in the way they do it with the world and everything, where the kids, they have their mundane life, and then the adventure starts. I like that type of setup. They did that really well.
Basically like Goonies, then.
Yeah.
Really,
Yes.
really much like
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Pretty
like that
much.
kind of thing. It's just that I think a lot of times when I look at Star Wars, I don't think of children. Unless
No, I
it's
completely
Anakin killing the
understand.
younglings. I don't.
Yeah. No, that's very true. They certainly don't feature children very often traditionally in Star Wars.
No.
But I think that's also one of the things that makes the show so interesting.
Yeah, it's different.
'Cause it
I mean, we
is-
had Anakin, but like a group of kids, definitely not
Yeah.
a thing.
Oh, right. Yeah. Anakin in the first, in
Yeah.
the prequel.
Yeah, in Phantom Menace. Yeah.
I would say also, I would play a game of that.
And of course, there was also the Star Wars Holiday Special.
No, there's not.
But
But no, I would play a game version of this. I actually think for
Yeah.
me, it would probably work better as a game than something I had to sit through as a TV show. I'd probably generically enjoy the game more. I sort of, don't
mean,
mind the idea.
you could kind of argue that that's Outlaws, I guess.
That which one's Outlaws?
Is kind of a video game version of Skeleton Key, I think.
Which Outlaws? What?
The
Star
game
Wars
Outlaws.
With the middle-aged lady? How's that?
Yeah, I mean the protagonists certainly aren't, but like the subject matter of
Oh no, I am purely talking about the protagonists, about the age,
Right.
Group
them
of
being
kids, the vibe.
Okay, God
Yeah.
damn, I was so confused there for a second. I was like, did I think of the wrong game? I get what you're saying. You're saying the way the story played out is sort of like younger, or do you just mean the way because she's new to skullduggery kind of thing?
the setting, the whole Outer Rim thing, the preponderance of strange and imaginative aliens.
Okay, that makes sense. I get that. Yeah, I was confused there for a second, but I get it now.
The crime underworld focus and whatnot. Yeah.
Let's see. D says, what are some of the under the radar TV shows that y'all recommend, series that were stuck in cable hell? Last Man Standing is incredible. One of the funniest shows I've ever watched. Eureka is incredible. Almost Human, that I got Johnny to finally watch. It's incredible. Any for you guys? Any shows or anything that's lesser known? Can't be called Lord of the Rings.
Well, I'm really looking forward to watching. There's a new modern adaptation of The Day of the Jackal. Frederick Forsyth's.
It is very good.
1970s novel.
Okay.
That is the original film adaptation from '73 by Fred Zimmerman is one of my all-time favorite suspense movies. And it's like the trailers for the new show look really, really good on Showtime.
Yeah, it's I highly recommend it. Over. I think you're gonna like it.
What about you, Johnny? Any small ones?
Small ones. I liked one that's called Sweet Pea.
I like
That's
Sweet Pea
currently
a
out there.
lot.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Mhm.
And it's with for people who have watched Arcane, it's the lady that does the voice for Jinx, and she's also the lady in Fallout, the Fallout show. Ella Purnell, I want to say.
Wait, sorry.
Are we talking about the same show? or
I'm
no?
talking about Sweet Tooth, the one with the fairy
Sweet
kid.
Tooth. Yeah, that's a
Sweet-
different one. Also, a great
I am
show.
talking about that one, but so
Okay.
I haven't seen Sweet. What's it called? Sweet.
Okay, so it's called Sweet Pea,
Okay.
and it's a little bit similar to Dexter in setup, if you want to think it that way. But it's a short and sweet one season that's out there. It's
Okay.
really fun.
All right, I'll check that out for
Well.
sure. Gotham. Hey, some Gotham lovers. Thank you
Yeah,
very
Gotham's
much.
good.
Gotham's good, man. Yeah, and these are see, it's weird because to me, TV shows remind me more of games than movies do, right? Because of the length of the show. So I think
Right.
there's some times where I'll look at a show and go, "Why do I like this show?" and realize it's because the repetitive nature of whatever it is reminds me of levels in a game. For example, Eureka being about a different mystery of the week, Supernatural, a different mystery of the week. To me, that's very gamified, and it's much easier for me to enjoy. And of course, there's more world building in a series as well. Narcos is fairly big.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
Gotham is
very
big now that I think about it.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of those are fairly huge.
I mean, there is, if you're looking for something different there's an Italian series about the Neapolitan mafia, Camorra. That's really good.
Oh, it's about the mafia?
Yes.
But
Italy.
it's in Italian it's
in Italian, yes.
in Italian. Okay, gotcha. I could probably see myself watching that because I got through Narcos with it, with mostly subtitles. They had
Yeah.
the occasional not occasional, but they had the American voiceovers. But there was a lot of that that's in. The one
They
I had.
did a good job with like making it real. Like they were
Yes.
speaking real Spanish. Because a lot of times, as someone who has lived in Spain many years, you watch those movies and they're speaking like dog
Formal
shit
or
Spanish.
dog shit
No,
Spanish?
just not even like anybody speaks in the world, just like
Yeah.
like an English person reading something in Spanish.
Yeah. I was going to say the other one that I had an issue with that I think all you guys liked. I could be wrong on this, and I had serious issues. I just don't like it. Shogun. I'm sorry, but the new series of Shogun is slow. It changes a bunch of stuff that makes it feel like it was made yesterday in a group think or some kind of focus test. And it just, this is why I always tell people, don't get your hopes too high. Because I was like, a lot of the actors I liked, I knew a couple of them, not new, like personally, but I mean, I've seen them in shows. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be exciting. And man, talk about a show that Shogun, the original, was boring as shit. And it is 10 times for me more enjoyable than this new one. I mean, I was just like, what the fuck? So,
well, to me, it went downhill pretty quickly. Like the first couple episodes, I loved the cast. And, it had the actor from Lost that plays Richard in Lost. He's like an older, like seaman guy and seaman.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I was like, why did he just correct himself? Anyway.
So anyway, it starts really well. And then it becomes very slow paced.
I think that's
hard to watch.
Again, why I've gravitated towards games, because I can control the slowness.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, it was well made for sure.
Don't watch the Alex Cross TV show, by the way. So it's like the something Bones. The Denzel Washington did, I think, where he was Alex Cross in one of the detective movies years ago, The Black Detective. They've got a TV show on. Man, there's few times where I will just sit back and turn something off. And I was just, wow, this is bad. Yeah. Crow says Bosch, Justified Spartacus.
That's a good show.
Do you know what else is good, man? I can't believe I like it this much, but I absolutely love Landman with Billy Bob Thornton. It is.
You mentioned that. I haven't
fucking
seen it
good,
yet.
man. It is so good.
To watch that.
It is so good. It's mind-blowingly good. Vikings was a good show, that dude says. So let's get back on to games for a second, because we're a gaming podcast. Even though, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We talk about games. We talk entertainment podcast. Let's see. Let's look through the news here and see if there's any gaming news. There's nothing. Let's look here for gaming news. Oh, by the way, anybody in chat, is Path of Exile 2 up and running? Anybody in? Or are you playing the queue? Because I'd like to know.
Playing the queue. Yeah. The day one experience.
Yeah. Are you the day one experiencer, or are you actually in? Vapor says, I saw the first Witcher series on Netflix, but I heard it went downhill very fast. You know what? It's probably still worth watching, but it is what it is. Flip Cup says, I need to watch Landman. I like a lot of Taylor Sheridan stuff. He just puts out so much. Yeah, he does. I'm telling you guys, though, if you do like Sheridan stuff, but also if you liked Goliath, which is phenomenal, Landman is a less acerbic, less evil Billy Bob Thornton, and absolutely hilarious. Assman is playing it with 200K. What's an Assman?
Assman. No, I think it's Assman.
Who fucking cares? Gotcha. I thought he meant Assman. Let's see. One show that I like is Wire in the Blood. No queue either? Oh, interesting. Not live yet? Okay. Too bad.
Oh,
But back on games for a second too. So Ubisoft, there were all the rumors that Ubisoft was like talking with Tencent about buys, and they froze the stocks volatility wise because all the talk makes it go up and down. It's not really super safe as a normal business to invest in. I don't know about you guys, but the idea of Tencent getting Ubisoft it scares the shit out of me, man. Like the idea of, I mean, I don't know if everybody just suddenly doesn't track Tencent or not, but holy shit, man. Like one of the few companies in the world, I would say, Vivendi would probably be the other one that I wouldn't want. Does Vivendi still own stock? Did they sell their stock in
I
Ubisoft?
think they sold it, yeah, after they couldn't get the buyout.
Yeah, because they tried a hostile, right?
Yeah, they did.
The nice thing about Tencent, supposedly, is that they are not, going towards it. And it's like, especially when you see how much good stuff Ubisoft does. They have bad stuff and good stuff, but they do so many games, and they've had amazing titles, and they've had bad titles. To me, that's exactly what a company needs to do. And if every company is going to worry if they have the occasional bad title, we're going to get the stuff that we have right now, which is a company does bad title, they get laid off or fired. You have everything, destroyed, which I don't want. But I also, much more than that, do not want Tencent investing in Ubisoft any more than they already have. I mean, what if? And it's just like the minority of super loud gamers to be like, hey, let's destroy Ubisoft and replace them with Tencent. And it's like, holy shit. Chlamydia and herpes are both STDs, guys. Come on, man. I mean, what a stupid fucking thing to say. It's such a bad idea for a trade-off. It's like, let them do their own thing. I just wish somehow they would get their money, get out of the stock market. Like, as in get their stocks off the market. So you can't, there's no connection there. It's just their own thing over here. I mean, I think we would probably like that for most game companies. Now that I think about it, it would probably be better if that's the way it was ultimately handled.
Cleaner incentives, right?
Yeah.
Just without all that.
Without all that shit over the top.
I may have mentioned this before, but I'm not as invested in the Ubisoft fight as I used to be because of the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of like just management screw ups and culture issues and whatnot with that company, that I don't have a lot of sympathy left for the management there. Where maybe changes would affect some kind of change. I don't necessarily believe that would be the case, but I'm also not invested in a retention of the current staff at the top there.
Yeah. Tencent would not retain anything though. So if it is somebody, anybody but Tencent. Like anybody. I would almost rather have Vivendi do it than Tencent. And having had direct experience, I can tell you, I will die on that sword for the rest of my life. There is no company in the world you want less than Tencent. Zero. None. That's just being completely honest in what I've seen and dealt with. I would rather have Ubisoft continue. It's fucking horrendous. It's just like us to be like that. There's something so broken in gaming when it comes to like the replacement of things. It creeps me the fuck out whenever I hear anybody say this would be a good idea. You're like, God damn, son. Seriously? Like that would be it makes like Microsoft and Activision, or you guys heard the rumor Sony might be buying from the company that, well, not from Soft, but the larger overarching guys that own FromSoft. Sony's looking at them. That is a hug, a kiss, and a sweet good night compared to Tencent. It's because I've seen people bitching about that too, being like, oh, we don't want Sony to own From. I think for the most part, nobody does want anybody who does games for everybody to come to a place and remove those from, let's say, the pool of available titles. I think that's
how I feel about Samsung.
About Samsung? Yeah, you definitely got some hate for Samsung. I think I agree with that. Terrence says, I don't like the Ubisoft game development process for AAA development. How long have you worked there, though? Like, what did you not like about it when you worked there? Sony wants to buy Kadokawa. That's who it's called? Kadokawa?
Kadokawa.
Kadokawa. Is that what it's pronounced? Kadokawa. JB Reaper says, look at Tencent's new Destiny and Monster Hunter games. Brand new markets for them with player bases that aren't used to gacha games. It's going to be a bloodbath. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be unique. Chanel says, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I apologize if I did. Greetings from Australia. Good to see you guys. Have missed the podcast for the last 2 weeks. Thank you very much. What time is it in Australia? It's got to be 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's deep.
Yeah, I think when Turam's in our podcast or in our Discord chats late at night, it's
I think it's 8 or 9 hours ahead of, of me.
No shit.
So, yeah.
So it's 03:30 in the morning or some crazy time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with FromSoft guys, especially when you look at them wanting to branch out, where Sekiro was on everything. Like I think that's where you want them, because I also believe that their games, while they sell good, it doesn't mean every one of them will. Some will hit certain groups, and some will attract certain groups. And I would rather have them have the ability to release on everything to recoup some of that development cost,
right?
Even if they were paid an exorbitant amount. I'm hoping they wouldn't do that. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. And at least right now, it certainly doesn't make a ton of sense. Lustin says, Kadokawa, I think I'm pronouncing it right, also owns a shitload of manga and anime.
Interesting.
Does that fit? That fits, though, because Sony owns Crunchyroll, right? Or whatever the anime streaming TV thing is.
Do they actually?
I believe Sony, Sony owns, Sony bought them.
Wow. Okay.
So there you go. Maybe they figured out games aren't making money. They just want to do shit anime forever. I'm just joking. Yeah,
they finally found a way to make Sony Pictures profitable.
Are they not? I don't track movie studios. Are they not? Are they? Oh, wait a minute. No, they did have issues, didn't they?
Yeah, no, they've had a lot of pretty terrible track record.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I don't track that kind of stuff very much, but I always try to sort of hit it. Next up, Johnny had something he wanted to mention here. It Takes Two dev releasing a new game in March, Split Fiction. Where did you find that?
I was looking at Reddit gaming news.
Okay.
A very accurate 100%, like never fails source.
Always pleasant, never fails,
reliable
never
Wikipedia.
Reliable, yeah. So
Yes.
It's called Split Fiction. Do we know anything about it? Because I haven't checked anything on this.
No, we don't know anything yet. Just that it is coming.
Okay.
Around that time. Yeah, nothing too much to say. I'm excited about it. I've liked both of their prior games a lot.
Don't you guys feel that? I don't know about you, but when they first announced that game from that guy, I was like, this sounds like a terrible idea. He was showing them playing side by side, and I was like, how are you going to hear the audio if two people are sitting side by side playing this game?
Worked.
It worked great. And then It Takes Two, right, was the other one. And It Takes Two was primo.
Even better. Yeah.
Even better. Yes. I mean, I don't know what magic he piped into, because no one else was doing that kind of game. I mean, I remember back in the day on the Saturn, there was a racer or two that was split screen, and they would merge and unmerge the split screen of the cars. It was pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. But I remember thinking no one would do that, and certainly not a third-person shooter. But there we go. What were we going to say? Were you going to say something, Silver?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just agreed.
What's his name? Joseph. I can't remember his last name, but
nose, he has a prodigious. Yeah, he's a good-looking man, but he has a.
All right. I don't know where this is going. I don't know where did this it start? As you're just like, let's, I got some pictures up on my wall of just his nose. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. Split Fiction. I don't know what it's about. If anybody does pop off in chat, I do like those kind of games. I do find that both of them were one-offs. Is that true?
Yeah. Or no, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Like one, maybe I guess you could play with a friend who hadn't.
I think that's what they're designed for.
I feel that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they also sell you both versions for one price, right? You buy it. How did that go?
Yeah, and you get the ability
get a
to
friend
invite
pass.
a friend.
Yeah, invite a
Yeah.
friend. Yeah. That's great, man. I love that. Jesus Crust says Ferris. Joseph Ferris. Thank you. Lucitan says Sony owns Crunchyroll, Funimation, Animax, and Nipples. That's hot.
It's Aniplex. He typoed it. He
Okay.
mistyped.
Well, did he mistype Annie Nipples? Because I sort of dig if somebody's played. If I mean, I would name my company Annie Nipples. People be asking where Annie is all the time. And Wake Anim, all anime platforms.
There would also be some potentially horrifying references to the musical, right? Annie.
Annie? Yeah. Okay, we'll change that. I wouldn't call it Annie Nipples then. Yeah, you know, when it comes down to it, I don't know much about the anime space, but I do feel also, I don't know if, I'm sure you guys know more anime than I do, but I do feel that there's a regurgitation of, you know, the typical anime in games that we see, Dragon Ball and stuff like that. It would be nice if you are an anime fan. I think it would be nice to delve into other anime that are out there. For example, there's been a couple technically Robotech games, but they've been fairly shit. That kind of stuff would be great. I think Samurai Champloo did have a game for the PS2, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I just feel
Attack
like
on Titan had a couple.
there you go,
with,
and I liked
like,
one of them.
it had some interesting, unique stuff. You know, they did the zipping around pretty well. I thought
They did. Okay, so what's an anime? There we go. What's an anime game? I meant to say anime game, not anime gay.
Yeah.
What is an anime game?
That's I got you.
What's an anime game that you guys? Is there any that you guys have ever watched? I got to play 13, which was based on. Well, that was a comic book. That wasn't Japanese.
Comic,
Belgian. Yeah. Is there any that you guys would like to see that are that I'm not aware of that are anime that have like a good followable story that aren't 6,000 like One Punch Man or whatever it's called?
There is one called Tower of God.
Tower
That's
of God.
kind of like people are climbing this tower. It's kind of like Hunger Games. Think of Hunger Games, but with a tower instead, where you're climbing up.
No shit.
It's kind of
this
like,
actually sounds
so
awesome.
A little bit like that. Really cool. And what you could do is just have different levels where you're playing these multiplayer games and almost like a Fallout. Fallout Boys? No, that's the band. What's the game?
This is getting awesome as we go farther in. Annie Nipples, Fallout Boys. Anyway.
Yeah, you know the one, the multiplayer one? Fall Guys? Fall Guys.
Fall Guys. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Fallout Boys,
anyway,
Fall Guys.
So, but imagine like you're climbing a tower and each level it's a different game that you play or something.
Damn, okay. Dude, that sounds awesome even as an anime. Just so you know, that might be one of the first animes that I might actually go check out. That actual idea is cool. Because the last one you guys told me to check is a game I think would be a great game, but was a terrible fucking anime, which is the volleyball one. You guys all lied to me and get me to watch. And it was
I don't know that one.
It might have been Dev Guy, but one of you guys sold me on this volleyball anime. And it was everything that...
Was it just girls with like...
No, but it was all the things that are anime, you know, in one. But as a game, I would love to play a volleyball game. I actually do think volleyball is a fun sport to play in a game mode because I like tennis too. So like those kind of just back and forth net. I would play the hell out of an anime that was based in that where you have school like Persona or something. SBZ, Hayuk, whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah. But I think you're right. No, it's like Hayuku something. I can't remember. Let's see. Gabe says 13 was my favorite book as a kid, and that remake in 2020 broke my heart. Wait. Oh, they did remake it, didn't they? But I don't think they did much work in that remake. In fact, I think it was more of a port to get it to run. Is there any others I would like to see? Let's see. For anime, what about... We have go ahead.
One peculiar anime I actually do enjoy is Tama Nove, Roma Nove, I think it is, about a Roman architect who gets transported to a Japanese bathhouse in the contemporary times.
How in the fuck would that be a game? Would you be like designing houses? What's he do?
Well, yeah, he designs bathhouses. So he comes to Japan and sees all the technical innovations, and he brings them back to Rome.
Dude, it's like House Flipper,
I
but
see.
for
It's
bathhouses.
and futuristic and past. As he keeps going back in the past and inventing new stuff for bathhouse tech, they're like, this dries my balls. It's my God. This is an amazing tech.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the other one? So Berserk has had multiple games. The Berserk series. I remember there was a 360.
Yeah.
360.
JoJo had some fighting games.
JoJo had some fighting.
Has a upcoming game in Gen.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Bleach already had one. So Bleach has got an upcoming one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one I will check out then. That one I would definitely check out.
Yeah, and I would say that one looked interesting. A lot of the anime games, the problem is that they do the same RPG game or the same fighting game, but with a skin of the...
Yeah.
And that is a big problem because it makes it very hard to sift through what's a cool original game versus all the...
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Yeah.
Gennaro.
Yeah, all the anime style or type games I've enjoyed have all been original. They haven't been based on like a manga or anime.
Based on something else. Yeah. Also, I'm just going to say this. It's not anime. It's a cartoon. And guess what animes are? They're cartoons. I don't care what anybody says. They're all fucking cartoons. I want a new Transformers Devastation game. I want a new one. Transformers Devastation was friggin' incredible. Also, G.I. Joe came out with a game. Don't think it reviewed horribly. I think it was a game. I think it was right in the middle. But I would also love to see some of the, some American cartoons get some more games too, as long as they're good. I'd play the shit out of a Scooby-Doo point and click. That's just the honest truth.
What do you think about that Edge Runners anime? Would that make a good game, maybe?
Yeah. I think that so this is a good jump off point.
Yeah, definitely.
If you look at Cyberpunk and making a sequel, it's going to take forever, right? It's going to be a long time. But if you were to somehow make a Cyberpunk Edge Runners game, I think you could get away with a lot of different setups that didn't have to be a first-person RPG, super in-depth, blah, blah, blah. I actually think Edge Runners as a game IP is more solid on solid footing than actually Cyberpunk when it comes to time of release, development, what you could get it to run on. I actually think Edge Runners has a lot of potential for point-and-click games, for RPGs, for maybe not... you could do shooters, but I think once you start doing that, you start just overlapping with Cyberpunk. Yeah, man, I would love that. SBZ says, "Do you guys
make a game focused on something like net running or the like?"
Absolutely, yeah. I think Edge Runners would be a good one. Oregon Fresh said, "Heard the new Transformer animated movie was good." What? Transformers animated movie? I didn't know there was one, man. I'll have to check that out. Indio says that there were. He says something about G.I. Joe. He says G.I. Joe's had a couple games now recently. Yeah, I know that there was one. And I think it reviewed okay. Just okay. Terrence says, get Saber to make a Transformers game in the style of Space Marine 2. Jesus Christ, that would be good. Or get them to make a Berserk game in like Space Marine. See, that's the problem. When you get a game that succeeds, we all start doing that shit where we're like, what if they were, then it just becomes like a sort of a ridiculous conversation. Let's see. What else do we got? What else do we got going on?
You mentioned that PC Gamer show they did, apparently.
Yeah, they did.
So we had a list of stuff.
Go for it, because I don't know anything about this event.
Yeah, so like going through this, a few highlights that I'm really interested in is Judas, right? That game,
of course, yeah,
looks very interesting. It's still... What I saw is that there was no new info on these games.
That's what I saw,
which is interesting. It's still like TBD for dates and stuff. So I think it was kind of like drilling up some excitement. There's stuff like Control 2 listed in there. Also, that's also TBD. And then Perfect Dark is there. Like we don't even know if it will be 2025, that one.
Mm-hmm.
We can hope.
Yeah. There was the 007 talked about as well. Again, we don't know if it's happening or not, but
Or when, at least.
yeah. Kingdom Come Deliverance, Death Stranding 2, GTA 6. Again, nothing really new was shown. Slay the Spire 2 is really exciting to me. That might be like the best roguelite game ever made, in my opinion.
Damn, that's heady.
Yeah,
Really?
like if there's a pantheon of amazing roguelite games, this one has built like a little penthouse on top of them.
All right.
Okay,
Explain yourself. No, explain yourself. What do you? So why? Like what attracts you to this?
So for people who don't know, this is a deck building game, and you play through.
Keep talking. I'm gonna let
these runs. You choose one of 4 characters. Every character is very unique, and the cards you can get for them are all different and around the design of the class. So anyway, you have these classes. You pick one. You go through a run in similar like Darkest Dungeon fashion, if you want to think of it that way. You pick your path and everything. You fight bosses. But the thing is, the design of the classes, the cards, and the interplay of everything is masterful. I haven't seen it done that good. It's just incredible. It's also the perfect combination where you can play it right now without knowing anything, and yet the skill ceiling is so high. You're still learning, getting better, even hundreds of hours into this game. There's still more to
incredible about the class system.
Because the classes are very different, and each class have so many archetypes that you can pursue in a given run, depending on the cards you're getting, the decisions you're making. If you choose to remove this card or get this one of this type, and the interactions there, in a way that like 2 runs are almost never similar, because there's just so much variation built into it in a very clever way.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you cast a spell or use a card, do you see a 3D action? Or is it just a slash?
You see like a little animation, but it's not 3D. It's not like
Disco. I was thinking Circus Electrique, that one I reviewed, where they all animate and play.
I would say those do that part much better. Okay. There was also another one, Under the or C or something we talked about.
Okay.
That also does the 3D animations.
That's fair.
That's not there. But just purely talking about like the design of and the classes, the replayability and everything is completely insane. Right. Yeah. That's why I was excited about Slay the Spire 2, because maybe they're going to bring in some of these newer things like the animations, because this was one of the first
for sure
games, you know, in this vein that did it quite like this.
Yeah. Or deck builders, I think.
Right.
Because I like Darkest Dungeon, and obviously huge overlap. I liked Circus Electrique, but that's the one that went a little bit more graphical, which I really enjoyed because it keeps, and you could skip, but it keeps my brain busy. I like the idea. I've always wondered what Slay the Spire did for the people who like it, you know. Because you do hear a lot of people saying that about Slay. You're not the only one, you know. It's obviously an insanely popular game, and it's on everything, right? I mean, you can play that on a fucking Abacus.
It's even mobile. It's everywhere. It's Game Pass. You can stream it.
Oh, it's free on Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass.
Or not free on Game, you know what I meant before.
Yeah, included.
Yeah. But yeah, included. It's included in Game Pass. It's 0.03 cents on Game Pass. That's what I should. I enjoyed Balatro, which makes me think I would like other deck builders. Monster Train's awesome. It is. Griftlands was okay. Griftlands is in the same vein. It tried to do some stuff. It had some issues, but I do think those games are really enjoyable depending on where you are So, for example, I could watch a show I've seen already and play one of those. You're traveling, great game for traveling. I think a lot of these. What I have a problem with, Johnny, and I don't know if you had this. Obviously, it doesn't sound like you did, and I know you don't mobile as much as me, but I have a problem sitting in front of a 42-inch monitor and playing a game like that. Does that make sense? There's something about it that I think there's too much not going on or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I
usually combine it with something on the other screen.
Yeah.
The same with Balatro for me. When I play that, I'm either playing on the Steam Deck or I'm playing on my screen, but I have a podcast or a show or I'm talking with you guys, something where it's nice and compatible with that. I agree with you. There's not a ton going on visually,
but there's a lot of like
simple
theory building.
Yeah,
in your classes. What about any news on Monster Train for Android? Oh yeah, I don't know, but if it is, Monster Train is wicked. That game was good. Silver, do you like any of these kind of games? Have you jumped into?
I'm not really into deck builders all that much, I have to admit. I think maybe it's something that it feels a little hokey to me to collect cards, where
understood.
I think maybe it's a disconnect from my childhood collecting Magic cards and building Magic the Gathering decks, where maybe there's some residual trauma from that or something, where the idea of like collecting cards for character runs just doesn't appeal to me.
Dude, and they became... the nice thing is board games have gone slightly away from it, and even card games have, where they're no longer collectible in the same way, where it's all money. Right. But I agree with you that it took me a while, and what it took me was the fiction itself to get to Darkest Dungeons, sure. Cthulhu style.
I did enjoy Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah, that was just like, what the is going on? My guy's like riddled, brittle bone syndrome. He's got 10 psychosis. And I was like, what the shit? Hates his life, doesn't want to do anything. Wife left him. Yeah, he's actually adventuring on purpose so he'll die. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. But I'm the same way Silver is, that whenever there's even in board games, I have to look, because if there's a collection aspect of any game, I think the classes is what would appeal to me. But at the same time, then I get mad at restrictions. So like I'm very finicky when it comes to that. But yeah, I mean, obviously they're super popular, and there's some that are done super well. The new Cthulhu one came out. I believe it's got good reviews, and I played that during the Steam. I don't think it was this last one. It might have been. Yeah, it might have been the prior Steam Fest, but I played it and really enjoyed it. But I think I enjoyed it 70% because it was Cthulhu. And it had some 3D graphics, like tentacles would come out of the ground. I'm sold on animation. I think it just, that speaks to me. But
and it isn't just like the collection aspect for me. It was also just the memory of it, like playing Magic being kind of hokey, like putting down a card to cast a spell, like a fireball or something, like
just felt disconnected almost.
Yeah.
Well, when you and I started the podcast, I don't know if you remember this, but one of my issues with VR, and one of my issues with going all the way back to the PlayStation camera, I think was one of the first games that did this. I want to see, if I put a card down, I want to see like magic come out. I want to see stuff in my game. Right. And in VR,
graphical flourish.
Sometimes a graphical flourish. Yeah. And in VR, I was really disappointed that when a couple of those games came out, they didn't do something.
No, it's just putting down the card.
It's just putting down the card. And you're all, oh, okay. Well, this is, a repeat of that. But yeah, man,
be doing this with a webcam and it would be the same
thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or on Discord with a friend and just playing, a generic game of cards. The one that surprised me was Balatro and then Deadly Dice. And I think it was Jeff Kanata. I was on the DLC podcast, and Jeff Kanata wouldn't shut up about this game called Deadly Dice. And I am a fan of dice over cards. If you gave me two modes of, I play D&D with cards, weirdly enough, but for the most part, I like dice. And especially there's like Dragon Dice. There's a couple dice-based board games I sort of like. And I was playing that going like, holy shit, that's wicked. Like that's like, I love that there's all these different elements, and Balatro surprised the hell out of me. Not that I don't love it. I don't even know if I own it. What I mean by surprising is that it got a lot of people into this kind of game that were not. I mean, you saw it in our Discord. People are like, dude, I hate these. Like, I hate these kind of games, but for whatever reason, Balatro in particular spoke
And
to
people
them.
going deep, like, dude, you take this deck and you go for this Joker.
Yeah.
That's-
That came out of nowhere. Balatro was weird, man, because like I didn't hear a lot of hubbub about it until it was out in whatever form it was out. It might have been early access even. Alp says ACG playing Craps on the streets of Eugene. Craps is an amazing game. I love it. But yeah, man, these kind of things are awesome. I'm hoping we get more of these with more graphical flourish. I would love to see more. I think Balatro's got a good idea of mixing things too. I like when you play a card and then if you play multiple in a row, color, tile, rummy, Johnny and I are fans of, that mix and match. So it's not just a skill, but if you have the other skill and they match color, I like that kind of stuff. But they need to have graphics, man. I need to be entertained.
Yeah, a Rummy Cup game could be good if they did a really good one.
Dude, I'd be all over that shit. Do you know why? That's why I like the video game version of Monopoly more than Monopoly. Because if I'm playing Monopoly, you're just like waiting for everybody after your car drives by them. You're like, fuck. But when I play the video game version, there's like dragons smashing shit. It's just, it appeals a little bit more. Johnny, have you heard of Diceomancer?
No,
I believe I own Diceomancer. Let me look. Dice. Because Deadly Dice, yeah, I own Diceomancer as well. You know what? I own it, but so here's the problem with Diceomancer. I know you didn't ask me, but let me see what Johnny says. It's the graphic style that didn't work. It sounds so like that's such a bad. Something about it is too.
Yeah.
Not South Park, because there's way more detailed than that, but something about it didn't appeal to me. God damn, it's got good reviews. Jesus.
It's crazy, right?
Diceomancers. So if anybody else is listening to this conversation still, if you've stuck through all the bullshit and the random mistaken anime titles, Diceomancer on Steam is overwhelmingly positive. 3,000 or 3,000 some reviews almost. Damn.
Ultra Piggy Studio. That's the developer name. Gotta love it. Piggy.
Are all games collections just different methods looting? Oh, in the card games, I think most of the games are that. Or was it Darkest Dungeon that gave you something at the end of each run? Because some give you cards for killing people, some give you cards for finishing a run. How does Slay the Spire? How do you get new cards in Slay the Spire?
So after every encounter, there will be different ways of getting cards. So sometimes you see 3 cards and you can choose one.
Mm-hmm.
Other times you can remove cards from your deck. That type of stuff. You can upgrade.
I'll tell you a game that isn't amazing, but I sort of dug the interface, which was 3D and then using cards to fight. And it was called Hand of Fate and Hand of Fate 2. I reviewed one of them years ago.
The first one or the second one?
I believe it was the first one I reviewed. And because I think the second one I either didn't like or didn't review.
That one did a mix where you would play with the cards and then you would engage in battle in like
that's what it was.
Person.
Yeah. And the cards gave you buffs, right? Isn't that right? Man, it's been forever since I've
and that was very cool.
Yeah.
Like the third person part wasn't as well
put together. Yeah.
For the combat itself, but I would love to see that like nailed, mixing those two.
I feel like we're getting that a lot lately. Where one part of something is done.
One part. Yeah.
Yeah, is done really well, and then you look at the other parts and you're like, it doesn't feel like they got equal development time, if that makes sense. Yeah. They don't feel like they were put together very well, all told. What else do we got, man? Anything else amazing going on? Anybody in chat got anything amazing going on in life? What's the happiest moment you had this year?
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Ass year.
Dude, show people your display, or can you?
No, it's not in this room.
All right. Well, he's got something really cool that he doesn't want to show you, so we can't talk about it.
Yeah, I got some nice displays. I know you went to Walmart and found some surprisingly good ones. You did one for Space Marine.
Also,
Space Marines.
My headphones. So give me just a sec here.
No worries. Well, you can't hear me say no worries, so let's just talk bad about them. Yeah, your displays. No, those look good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Good. So
I finally bought a luxury edition of the Inkle from Mobius, with absolutely some of the most striking art ever made for.
Well, I mean, influenced 90% of what we see. It feels like.
Yeah, pretty much.
As an artist.
Some might say seminal work.
I love saying that, but man, I would drop that in a review and people would be like, why is he talking about semen? And be like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's an amazing book, and this print is like the color grading is considerably brighter than it was a lot more muted originally.
So they touched it up to put it in the book, basically. Yeah.
And it's proper thick.
Awesome. Dude.
Well, I mean, proper prolific artist too.
Yeah.
Like tons of stuff. Yeah, I like the occasional art book. What I've been unhappy about though, dude, is that when I buy an art book, Frank Franzetta's were okay, but it was an older style of art. But I've noticed I've like a couple video game art books, and I'm really unhappy with the super glossy pages. It's almost like I wish they could do a glossy picture and then the pages not be, because for example, I think I have a Watch Dogs Legion one that is, it's telling the story of Watch Dogs prior and all the stuff. It's actually pretty cool overall side jaunt. The problem is it's very difficult to see. Because no matter which way you look, it's like looking in a fucking mirror, and it's shining back at you, and it's like, damn it!
It doesn't matter what light you have.
It doesn't.
It has a way of capturing light,
bro. I'm telling you, it's like it finds the light. So I'll look at the outside and be like, oh fuck, man, because I like the cyberpunk style, and I'll open it up and I'll be like, well, shit, or they'll have a muted picture next to a bright one, and I'm like, I feel like I need automatic dimming on my own eyes. Yeah.
Did you see Veilguard released their art book?
Veilguard did? No, I didn't. I did not see that.
It's actually quite interesting because it has the most concept art of any BioWare game ever made. So it has more concept art than like the Mass Effect trilogy combined.
Did they say? Is there a reason why?
Yeah, I think I mean, much of that is it's the 10-year development cycle and all the reboots they had to do of the development and whatnot. So it's quite interesting to see like the different sort of iterations that the game has undergone in that sense, and how sort of how it is actually something of a miracle that we have a finished product that kind of works from A to B.
Yeah, because of all the problems. I will say, you just pointed out why I'm unhappy with the Mass Effect art books. There wasn't a ton of changes. So they'll show like Garrus, and they'll show 6 pictures of him, 6 iterations basically, and it's just in a different shirt or something. And there, I mean, that's selling them short, but you get my drift. It doesn't have I do like to see the tons of concepts. It's why I go to ArtStation on YouTube or on the internet a lot, because sometimes you'll see the concept artists who are freelance. They're able, when the game comes out, to show their concept art, and a lot of times that doesn't get into the art books as much. And so I've found a lot of concept art for games there that I'm like, oh damn, these are pretty cool. Happiest moment: I finally moved from Australia to America to live together with my wife. Congratulations.
Wow. Congratulations.
JB Reaper says, I have a new baby on the way in a couple months. Also getting more into PC gaming, looking at getting a desk set up for my ROG laptop, then saving up for a full build. Mr. Zepatov says, I have a 2-year-old grandson. Amazing. Plus his brother was born last month, my second grandchild. 2 years.
For third person.
That's big stuff.
Yeah, people
I got a new TV, guys.
People are breeding. Me too. Got a new TV last week.
There you go.
Didn't want one, but I got it. I think I'm going to have to get a new monitor too. I'm not really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's...
Dude, they're expensive, man. I mean, they're not, but they are. It's like...
They are.
Yeah, and unless...
like replacing everything.
Exactly. Yeah, that's more what it is. I'm happy with what I got. You're happy with what you got, but at the same time, it's like we both admitted directly in our chat, or it was maybe in the podcast, that we didn't buy TVs for a little while because we just didn't want to move the old TV.
Pretty much only because I had to move. Yeah.
Dude, and I mean, I was looking at mine, and my wife, I heard this sentence as I was walking by. I heard a little like one-liner come out that was something along the lines of, have we decided what to do with that TV? And I was like, fuck, I knew that was going to happen. Like, because we don't have it. They're big TVs. It's like, you're not getting that into a fucking 4-door. We have a big 4-door sedan and we're not getting my old TV in it. And it's like, oh man, now we got to rent a U-Haul, or I guess I could go on Facebook and try to sell it to somebody, but you know, I don't want somebody coming to my house. And you're playing, didn't you get a TV? Or no, Silver, it was actually Sleeve, wasn't it, that I helped get a TV? That's who it was. Yeah. Yeah, TV tech hasn't really adjusted too much either, if you've gotten one in the last couple of years. So getting another one sort of sucks.
I mean, thankfully 3D televisions are pretty much dead.
Thankfully.
That whole craze. Yeah.
Yeah. But the difference, if you had a 4K TV from, 8 years ago, like I did, the difference is pretty big for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at minimum, the difference, not only like, let's say color, but in operation system speed. My old Samsung was an ancient, and I'm not lying. I could click the button and put my hand down before the OS would move the button over. It was like some Windows Vista shit going on there. So, and now it's like, boop, 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 which is nice. But they're also too smart. That like mine has, I already have a Fire Stick with my, like your Amazon and all that stuff. The TV's got it on there too. And then I'm like, I don't want to sign into the TV and to this. So I still use a Fire Stick for it. But I will say one thing. My TV's version of GeForce Now is primo. Holy shit. It is brilliant. I was testing it out a couple days ago, just going like, damn, that might be better than like my handheld that I have plugged in right now. Like it is ridiculously good. What else do we got? Kid on the way. Another person says kid on the way. 2-year-olds are great. I agree. Hard work though. Yeah, especially if you're trying to chase them with a poopy diaper. What else do we got going on?
I got some really nice new headphones. These ones. These are some Hi-Fi Man.
Huge.
They're gigantic. I mean, you can see but I don't know if you know this about me, Carrick. I have a pretty big noggin. And so this looks big.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's true. Because here's what's weird. You mentioned that about an hour and a half ago, I saw you turn and I was like, those are fucking dinner plates he's got on the side of his head. And I forgot to mention anything. Yeah, they're massive. Are they open? They're open?
They're closed.
They're closed.
But they're so big that my ears are not touching.
That's awesome, though.
It's awesome because it doesn't pressure. It doesn't tire you to have them on. And they sound incredible. I mean, whether it's music or games, actually both sound amazing. And I had the Sennheiser 660 HD for longer than I have been on the podcast. So what, 8 years or something. And they were great, but they were completely battered. There was nothing left.
Dude, as a huge X-Sens fan and used to get review, headsets from them to do reviews.
Yeah.
I just do not like them anymore. They fall apart. Their durability, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they changed something, but their durability, I would always have them fall apart, where these are $99, last 300 hours on the battery, and don't wear out. Those Sens I was not a fan of. I am a fan of those are
Hi-Fi Man.
Hi-Fi Man. Yeah. I've got a pair of those around
Edition XS. So they actually dropped the price on it, almost half of what it used to be. That's just a normal price now, and it's pretty damn good compared to anything I've tried.
Amped or no amp?
I'm running it through my Rode interface, which already has internal
that's got an amp.
amp.
It's got some
amp.
power.
So it's nothing fancy for an amp, but it's also not a high impedance.
Yeah,
Some people in chat, you may not know, but some headphones, you need really specific power going into them to actually drive them.
Yeah.
And these are normal low impedance. It's just that
when you get really high ohm headphones and you plug them into something like a Xbox,
and it's
whatever,
a whisper,
and or worse yet, the moment it hits bass, you hear that crack. You hear it go because it's shook instead of pulled the way it's supposed to, and you're all, oh, this is gonna suck. But the cool thing about amps is, I mean, you can get a noob amp. That's literally one of the brands. You can get one of those for $50 and drive anything. Or shit. Yeah, I've got one of those. It's a little too big for my space, so I think I'm using Noob on these over here.
Yeah.
I don't use wired as often, but I'm still a fan of closeback. So, I mean, the ones I did see that I like, there's two new types. There's pre, which are, there's semi, which are half closed. And then I saw another one that I really like the idea of, which is a cup that goes on them and clicks off. So it can be closed and open.
That's cool.
I don't know if there's a switch for the port so that you adjust the dynamics of the headset, but I love the idea because I actually think that idea is fairly sound and shouldn't be too difficult for a company to come up because HyperX, in fact, has a ported version that you slip, you click a button and it closes the port or opens it depending on what kind of sound you want. Those are like $79 headsets. So I feel like a better company, not better.
Yeah.
A company selling a more expensive headset could probably do it as well. You're being asked how much those were, by the way.
Yeah, around $300. It used to be $550, and they dropped the price dramatically.
300's not bad. 300's like the max I'll buy for a personal headset. I do have the $2,000 ones, but it's like those were like a flippant spur of the moment, and they're nice. But are they worth $2,000?
Do you use them for gaming and stuff?
For gaming? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. It just depends.
For music, maybe?
It just depends. Sometimes music, I mean, I don't know about you, but, and I don't know if Silver, you notice this, but sometimes putting a pair of headphones on, you forget how different each one can sound. So you hear a song that sounds amazing. You'll hear a game.
Right.
You'll be playing Indy and you'll hear these, and you're like, wow, this sounds amazing. But then for whatever reason, the battery is out or it's not plugged in. You put on another headset and you hear different tonal different. And it's sort of, your brain sort of goes, whoa, what's that? And so I do like to switch headsets sometimes when I'm playing games and just be like, ooh, you know, what part of this is coming through? I equalize a lot of my stuff, so it generally sounds the same. But what do you have, Silver, for those headsets?
Still just a Steel Series.
Steel Series, yeah. Steel Series aren't bad. Steel Series are not. A lot of the gaming headsets used to be terrible, and then many of the patents they just bought from higher-end headsets. And, you know, I'm not saying they're, before some audiophile comes in here, trust me, you're talking to one. I'm not saying they're the same. You know, some audiophiles can be, but technically. Let's see.
Just, be careful, because I don't know if I actually mentioned this on the podcast, but I developed tinnitus over the summer. Yeah.
Damn.
Probably from headphone use. Though I did see a specialist who said he didn't think that was the reason, but I mean, I've been gaming with pretty high volume for headphones pretty much all my life. So yeah.
Dude, it's strokes and that are probably the only two things I worry about. One, because I would hate to lose the power of speech. Like that to me it's what I love when I hear people talking. Yeah. It's what I love to do. That's why we have a podcast. The idea of having that taken away is fucking haunting. And you can have, one of my best friends' little brother at 17 had one. So age doesn't matter. The other is having something that would impact my enjoyment of audio in games, or, you know, when you hear music that you love, that's beyond almost anything for me. Like there's something about it when I hear, especially a female vocalist that nails it or something, you're just like, oh my God. So the idea of having pain
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff scares the shit out of me. I don't know. I think everybody can get it at any time. It is one of those things. Do you think it's also connected to your illness, and does it affect the bone in the ear?
No connection to my illness. I wouldn't imagine. But I mean, my illness has sort of helped me cope with it, because I cope with it the same way I kind of cope with pain, in that I cope with it through like thought patterns and perception, in that I don't think negatively about my tinnitus. I don't go, oh, this is a distraction. This is disturbing. This is bad. When I hear it, I just go, oh, it's just there. I accept that it's there. I accept that
it means I'm alive. I can feel pain because I'm still
and
here.
Because I just accept it, I actually, a lot of the time, I don't even notice that it's there.
Well, that's good too, because that's a pretty painful illness to have. Like, I know they were saying, I think William Shatner during the movie where they thought God had talked to, I think it's 4, Star Trek 4. There was an explosion in the movie that got to it was too close to him, and it caused it for him. And he's always been a ornery person. No denying that. But even I believe Leonard Nimoy and somebody else was saying his attitude distinctly got worse because that consistent, consistent pain.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely people who are driven crazy by it, it varies from person to person how serious it is, the pitch tone that you hear. Thankfully, I'm able to just sort of put mine in the background and get on with things.
Yeah, it sucks because earaches. And I grew up with earaches all my life because I was ill. And so I don't get them much anymore. I don't even want to say I don't get them anymore. I want to knock on wood because they suck. Earaches, for some reason, they're horrible. Earaches and toothaches are probably two of the worst things you can get. So I'm glad you're able to actually somewhat ignore it. Terrence says, over time I've fallen out of headphones, speakers, earbuds, and headphones for music. Speakers. Oh, speakers better than, yeah. Everybody listens to stuff different. I don't like anything more than another. I have really good speakers. I love listening to speakers. But hey, headphones are nice when somebody's trying to sleep, or when you just want a contained experience and you don't want to be bothered by shit. I mean, it just all depends on how you listen to stuff. Each to their own. A lot of people I know in our Discord, they live in apartments, so they can't crank music either. And I got to tell you guys, driving and cranking music is one of the best top 4 experiences of my life. I love driving. I love listening to music, playing it at my house. But a lot of people, if you're living in an apartment, you cranking music, you're not going to have an apartment anymore. You're going to get fucking kicked out. So it's like a good pair of headphones is the main way of listening. What, has there been any music anybody's gotten into recently? Anything that's surprised them? I heard Breaking Benjamin, right? Yeah. I almost called it Breaking Bad. Breaking Benjamin released something.
I pinged you that new single from Breaking Benjamin. I really like it. I'm excited to see what the album is when they come out with it. And I've been listening to a lot of Sleep Token. A friend recommended me to them, Sleep Token.
What? Give me what? Genre, without going to the new age metal emo. What's the general genre?
It's really rock, edgy rock.
Okay.
With sometimes a little emo slant, but more towards the metal.
Okay.
So it's solidly rock music.
Awesome.
But
I'll check it out.
Some of these things where it's a bit more drama or rock opera type thing.
I just can't handle another song where somebody's like, I let you down, and you're just like, oh, I get it. Fuck Jesus, man. You're so emo. Okay. What about you, Silver? Has there been, you said a female vocalist a second ago, didn't you, Silver? When we were talking?
Alison Krauss. I mean, to me, she's
Alison
the
Krauss?
most incredible female vocal performer. Biggest Grammy award winner, I think, of all time.
C or a K for the last name? K?
Krauss. She used to sing with the band Union Station, bluegrass mainly.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. Her biggest pop hit is probably When You Say Nothing at All. The one that probably everyone knows her for.
I think is she that old?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, I know that song then. I was just verifying that part. That's sweet.
Going back to the 90s.
I've been listening to a lot of I don't even know what you call them, streaming YouTube channels. So they'll be almost like study channels. Study channels became big about 4 to 5 years ago, where people started streaming ambient music for study. And I'm a huge fan of ambient, especially if I'm trying to work and I don't want vocals where I'm trying to sing along. I don't need to be pour some sugar on me. Sometimes you want sound. And I've been having a great time looking up what's called cyberpunk. Cyberpunk will find it, but cyberpunk themed lo-fi. And it'll just be a lot of times it's people messing around with certain tracks of games or music that they like. And they've remade it with different instruments. And there's a lot of streaming channels, and I've found those to be really enjoyable. But there's some generic shit out there that I really like stuff that if you were talking to somebody else, it'd be how dare, if you were talking to an artist, they'd be how dare you like this? but I'll look up fantasy ambient music on YouTube, and it'll be a shit JPEG of like a tree with an elfin house in it. And it's been on for 3 years solid, as in a live stream. You go in there before 300, 400 people listening. But I got to admit to you, it's like, it's some good shit. And what sucks about it, though, is I will find a track that I want. And because it's live, it usually will not tell you what is playing. Now, I'm not saying all of them do this, but this one channel in particular has like 9 amazing Lord of the Rings / fantasy kind of like, not epic, but really good stirring music. And I'm all, fuck, who is this? Like, I don't understand why you guys aren't putting, people are saying the same thing for the podcast.
Some of those are insanely well produced on YouTube, by the way. Like
Primo.
the ambience type stuff. I've been listening to a lot of cyberpunk ambience, or like
the same ones I've been listening to, I bet.
Blade Runner, this type of stuff.
And it'll show, what's her name? Anna de Armas or whatever in the thumbnail sometimes. I know what you're talking about. Continue.
Absolutely.
I apologize.
No, because I've been reading, 2 books really, but one of them is Altered Carbon that you recommended. I've been reading that on my Kindle. A great read. So every time I read that, I have the cyberpunk or Blade Runner ambiance stuff, and it has some rain in it.
It's awesome. And dude, I'm telling you, it makes that synergy of those two things, like, because I've read Altered Carbon a ton of times with that kind of music on, and it actually does improve.
It adds to it.
It adds to that feeling of atmosphere. That's awesome.
Great.
Let's go for
the last couple of years gotten really into Mongolian throat singing.
Oh damn! You mean straight out of Dune? Like,
pretty much. I mean, not far from it, but especially like there's a really brilliant guy, Batsurik Vanchik, who has an amazing YouTube channel, who does like authentic folk singing, like throat singing about Genghis Khan and whatnot.
Can you relax to that?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I would say to like quite a few of his songs are actually quite soothing. Some of them are like quieter than others. But yeah.
I'll check it out then. The only reason I was asking is because I find this is not a joke. When I hear that, because there's been many an ambient YouTube channel that's got it, it makes me want to clear my throat all the time. And that's right. I think it's just, because it does sound like somebody going, even though obviously it's music. I'm just saying it's at times I've had difficulty, but I definitely like it. It just depends.
Especially because like the Mongolian style, like also transitions into like a pitched whistle almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Also, I love having the Amazon device. I'm not going to say its name because I would just lay down and be like, blah, 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 play ambient Japanese music. And it'll just be like, oh, dude. Yeah. And it's so nice if you're reading or if you're trying to put together like a desk or something like that. It's some of the best music to do because otherwise, if you're banging your head to Avenged Sevenfold, the wrong screws are going to get in your IKEA desk. At some point, you're going to be like not paying attention. At least that's me. I have a difficulty like paying attention to that kind of stuff. Lucidin just said login, meaning, wait, did you get to the login or you logged in, Lucidin? Because like, are you playing the login and it's saying you can't get in? And I want to know your queue number if queue numbers come up. By the way, anybody who wonders, this is Path of Exile 2 we're talking about. Anyway, let's wrap it up, man. We got, let's see, next week we will have one, but I believe the 20th we will not be able to. 27th I can make. I'm just talking about
next week will probably be like Game of the Year or something, right?
Or should we do it in January?
We could do that, yeah.
You want to?
I will be around for the normal slot if you want to do something there.
Yeah, the only one I won't be around for is 20th. We're going to do our cabin in the woods kind of thing. Yeah, hopefully it goes through. It's supposed to be a, 64-hour D&D game.
Do you ever get paranoid, like, because we've seen so many cabin in the woods movies where, like, y'all get murdered?
No, but weird shit's happened. I told you guys about the last one where the old lady was living under the house. She was not under the house, but they didn't tell us a groundskeeper was there, and she was nuts. I mean, it was bad enough that I was in a room listening to her talk to my wife, and I was already repacking the couple things I had, and my wife went around the corner. She knew my wife wasn't super happy with me, but I was like, if I'm not going to be comfortable, then my friends who are coming the next day, we're not going to be comfortable talking with somebody living. And that was a misread, I believe, on our part. I think somewhere there it must have said that there was somebody. I think we thought that person would not be in the house. To me, that is really weird. Like a hotel, it's not
Definitely
weird.
Cohabitation, basically.
Cohabitation. And by the way, she said this even triggered me even more. Everything was fine. She walked downstairs. She said, okay, I'm done. I won't see you guys until you check out. And if I don't, that's fine. We're like, okay, no problem. Less than 5 minutes later, as we were discussing leaving, she just walked right back up. And I was like, there should be a ringer almost, you know, like when you ring into a gate, it might be nice to be like, hey, if you hear this ring, it means I'm coming, or that I need to ask you a question. But yeah, no, this time, no, it's a 7-acre cabin. I think it's separated by 7 acres from everybody else. We're going to check it out and play some Dungeons and Dragons, play some video games. No, not video games, board games, and hang out. So that'll be the week after
Awesome,
next.
dude.
Next week we'll be here. Alp says firepower in Oregon over a blizzard are amazing. Oh, fire towers. Okay, you correct yourself. I was like, firepower in Oregon over a blizzard. I felt like he was trying to unlock some code. That'll be it for us, man. I think we're going to wrap this up. I want to say thanks to these guys for always showing up. Apologies, we missed one or two. If you didn't get a chance, you can check this out on iTunes, Spotify, wherever your best gaming podcasts are. Like, we'll be the only one. We'll just best gaming podcast. No other podcasts are on there. But thanks also for the super chats. Thanks for being a member of YouTube. If you are, you guys should now be getting updates. I did see somebody say they didn't get an update from YouTube. That is unfortunately the way it is. Last question. Mr. Mute Man says, are you guys playing Stalker? I am. But I think I'm the only one.
I am not.
You are not?
Yeah, I'm not currently.
And he's not currently. So I am right now playing Stalker. Anyway, as we speak right now. Peace out, everybody. Have an awesome week. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend as well.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
Gotta remember how to stop this fucking thing. Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG. We're starting the podcast. We should do
another one. 2 in a row.
Dude, this is podcast 499. Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, we should bank it, and be very obscure. We'll be very obscure with what date it is.
Evergreen.
Yeah, we'll say
about Game A.
Yeah, dude, that'd be amazing. Did you hear about Game A? What do you guys think about the Switch 1 and 2 as a whole
games
ecosystem?
That came out early in the year.
Yeah, what about games that have gone for a while and everything is just insanely generic? Anyway, that'll be it for us. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.